Please remain seated. Stay calm.
To do a really aggressive attention grabbing cold open, but I am still in love with the art that TTRP Theater has made for us, and I am so thankful for those people, and I'm going to say it again later, and I'm not sorry. Welcome to Wrath and Tears. We left on a cliffhanger as the old moneyed couple that Clara had started talking to apparently dropped some sort of a code phrase, something about rising from the ashes. Clara, what did that make you think of? Because we could see something happen. Your face went on a journey.
Yes, as the older woman said, I believe we will rise from the ashes of where we are. Clara had to think back to the Royal Phoenix Society, and 3 years ago when the Van Horsts first really discovered genuine truth and genuine supernatural things, and an entire very rich, very powerful cult called the Royal Phoenix Society that their father was a part of, and their father told to fuck off. When they were children, they were bred, bought, adopted, groomed to be a part of the Royal Phoenix Society's plan. And at one point in their father's life, he said, no, my children are more important than this grand design. And that made the society incredibly unhappy. And when they first met them, the society realized their father was dead. Maybe the society could groom them again. And then the Van Horsts were the Van Horsts and went, no, fuck off. We are in charge of our own destinies and we will figure out this ourselves. And then they promptly murdered everybody in the Pittsburgh Royal Phoenix Society.
With horrific supernatural violence. It was a meat grinder. It was a gold-plated meat grinder.
It was. I mean, specifically for Clara, who was shot very early on, was probably the first really victim to fall, and that's why Bethany and Matthew reacted so violently. So what Clara remembers is being shot through the torso, probably what could have very easily been a lethal shot if she wasn't very lucky and didn't have the best healthcare and money in the world, and laying on the floor of a marble ballroom while she watches her siblings violently murder through supernatural means an entire ballroom of very influential, rich people. So Claire is remembering blood and pain and fallen diamonds and broken glass, and Bethany shoving people across a room into pulp with her mind, and Matthew just ripping people apart with the power of his presence, and angels, and destroying, remaking angels. And it's all very muddied, especially the end there, because Claire had lost a lot of blood. but she remembers that night.
Do
And
you
she smiles to the older woman.
And she smiles back, and there is maybe something familiar in that smile. It's not in the set of the face. It's not a family. It's not a shared family. It's a shared training. It's, it's subtle but distinct, but you notice it. It's a 5-degree tilt to the head, and how you smile more with the side of your mouth that's slightly pointed up because you manipulate the symmetry of your face to make the smile look differently. You had these lessons. You remember an old thumb with too long of a nail stinking of cigarettes pulling your cheek into the right place as one of your far too many poise and Finnish tutors had a tendency to touch your face too much. But yeah.
And Clara just looks at her and goes, I'm sure you will. We all have a tendency to be able to grow from what they expected us to be, and we are good enough that even when we fall, we generally get back up. To getting back up, and she's got a flask, not a glass.
Okay.
And I look forward to seeing how the gentlemen down there managed to get themselves back up or not. We entered somebody in the fight.
Well, let's see if you're aware of the stakes. Sometimes people die here.
Oh, we fully expected that. Just hopefully it's kept to the ring tonight.
Well, I guess. The man steps in, and the man kind of has that. He's got that old war hero look, but he's not actually one. He's got the look of an actor playing a war hero.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't quite have the 1,000-yard stare. He doesn't quite have a certain poise that the experience of sending people to their death creates. But he does have the jawline and the eyebrows and the cheekbones and the sweep of perfect steel gray hair that you would look for. What's that commercial artist from the 20s who did all of that beautiful art where all the men had that perfect hair done in those thick, beautiful ink lines on all of his paintings?
Yeah.
He's got that hair, and he says, well, we don't have to make this any more personal than it needs to be.
No, not at all. I'm Clara Van Horst. You probably knew that. And she offers her hand.
And he reaches out, and he has all of the poise. They both have all the poise and the grace of kind of your home culture. Your home culture, of course, being the culture that tried to kill you.
Yes.
So, mixed feelings. But he does the two-hand reach out, the kind of the older gentleman reach out. Mm-hmm. It's not the pervy reach. He's not running his hand up your wrist or doing any of that things. It's the very genteel, very very kind. Definitely, he is attempting, and it's up to you to decide how well this attempt is going, but he is attempting to kind of manifest that paternal vibe. That kind of like I am a man near the apex of my socioeconomic pyramid, and I'm just so organized and powerful, and you should just be thankful that we get to talk. Sort of vibe. I mean, to be home. And he takes your hand in both of his, and he does have he's warm, but there's a there is a gentility to the handshake. It's soft. It's not a firm, even though Clara is a lady, you would expect a certain rigor of grip in a social hand contact. He does not have that. As a matter of fact, his hands is very it's very slow moving. It's very gentle. It is the slow grace of a barber, or the controlled motions of a tailor or seamstress as she is pinning the dress down your sides, where they are in control and they are making sure that nothing dangerous happens. Now, let me ask you, because this is a weirdly critical question. What is Clara's hand jewelry right now? Does she have, are we talking big chunky diamonds just sticking out, or simple rings, nothing?
Simple rings. It's what I'm wearing. The biggest is probably the pinky ring, which is diamonds and a ruby in the middle, but it's her pinky. So it's small and delicate. And then she's got a band of tiny, tiny diamonds here, and then just pure silver. One is a rose and some leaves. And then she has a very thin, delicate tennis bracelet. So it's all very expensive, tasteful jewelry without being showy. The showiest piece is the smallest one.
Yeah, it's not the Warner Brothers rock sticking 1.25 inches out of the top of the ring. Matt, what's up? I mean, come on, slacker. So, yeah, I see you over there. I haven't forgotten. So, when he takes Clara's hands, it's very gentle, and there is a sense that you are being felt, but like it's purely tactile. He's touching your hands and deriving some sort of information about them. He's very gentle, gives them a firm, but once again, very gentle, very cautious squeeze. And as he does, he looks you in the eye and says, "I'm Alistair Westsmith. I'm little Lizzie Wright's older brother. You remember her, don't you?"
Oh, yes, I do. The shame of what happened there. It shouldn't have had to have.
No. It should not have. Although I am, and he lets go of your hands with that same strange, cautious motion. Although I have yet to decide whether or not I choose to be upset, professionally or personally. I hope that we can come to an understanding. He is angry. It is not even something that you need to roll. There is a ember of rage somewhere in him that you could easily fan to a bright and shining fury. But then you have to deal with whatever that is.
She will gently squeeze just the fingertips of his hand before he fully lets go, and give him a smile which is all warmth and charisma and youth and power and beauty, and somebody who knows, or at least thinks, that she is absolutely in the prime of her life and her power, and knows it. And he can come along for the ride, or he can be put down like his sister.
Okie dokie. There's a lot of nonverbal communication here.
There is.
It's nice. In a different genre, there would be the little eye contact spark now with the letterbox slash of bright color across the screen. He's mad, and he knows that he can't be mad. There's some sort of restriction on his anger right now. Maybe it's social. Maybe this isn't a place where the people that are watching the fights pull out a knife and try to stab someone to death. Maybe there is something else going on. But His wife, however, is just, I mean, she's polished brass. She's smooth, slightly warm. She says, "Oh, I'm Margaret. I'm not related to anyone you've killed. It's a pleasure to meet you."
I like her.
Clara didn't.
That's Clara's response. She goes,
and they share a moment.
yeah,
Like, as Clara breaks decorum to kind of like let out what let's never call it a guffaw.
no.
To let out a bright burst of laughter, and Margaret shares it with you. And there's this kind of moment, and it feels like Margaret, with the dexterity of a jewel thief, somehow made this okay.
Yes.
Oh, she's great.
And the relationship between these two seems to be a little bit more givey-takey than Bertrand and his wife, Elizabeth. Bertrand was just a very, the woman's place is in the home, and if it's not in the home, then it's in the tea room, and that kind of, that very very posh, very shitheady, absolutely. Yeah. That asshole was the kind of guy who said things like "civilize the savages" unironically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best way to give his personality in a short burst. So, yeah. So there's a moment of laughter, and it seems like the fight is over. So here would be a moment socially for the three of you and for the people you're speaking to. This would be a natural, organic moment to rearrange the conversation shapes. Is that something you'd like to do now? I mean, you've all made introductions. You've all said hi to people. We've dropped off David. We've identified that the doctor is a super chauvinist shithead who likes using sex as a combat mechanism. We identified that Clemenza is not in charge of anything. He exists in a state of perpetual terror.
I feel for him on an out of character level.
Yeah.
In character, I don't care, but like out of character, I feel for him.
And we have discovered that the Westsmiths have some shit. So, how do you want to rearrange?
Moment of a breath and a laugh.
Yeah.
Both of my siblings are here. We're absolutely here to watch the fights. I know that they would love to meet you, but I also don't want to entirely intrude on your evening. So it's up to you if you have guests or if I go back down and we just continue conversations later. She is now absolutely speaking to both of them, if not slightly more Margaret.
Oh, absolutely. And Margaret actually, she commits an unforgivable sin. She actually puts her hand on her husband's arm in the I got this. She puts the "I got this" hand on her fucking husband in public in America in 1957.
Amazing.
Yes. And says, "That sounds lovely, dear, but how about we talk another time? Let's have lunch."
I think that would be most enjoyable.
That's good.
You prefer?
Oh, absolutely. And the discussion is had and a nice place to select.
Arrangements.
Yeah. Do you now, we'll talk about it later. Let's worry about what the hell David's going to do when given a chance to commit unspeakable violence. And she wrangles her husband. I mean, he clearly wants to say some real snippy shit, and she doesn't. She's just like, not now, not here. She's not telling him no. She keeps stressing the location. He is being handled by his wife. That also implies a temper. Or something, or there is an explosive or combative aspect of his personality that his wife has long experience managing or mitigating. So while absolutely hearing his balls rattle around in her purse is entertaining, there is a reason that she is kind of doing this moderately scandalous social behavior of running a conversation that her husband is in.
They seem like they're a very excellent example of a soft hard power duo, basically. Like they both have that kind of vibe that I'm getting of like that she's kind of maneuvering the soft power while he has sort of the threat behind, which yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
And his anger is visible across the room. Both of the siblings can watch his body language, can watch the monkey signals, as I like to call them, of all the primate rage responses attempting to manifest themselves in what is arguably a civilized human being. And the smile he does give is the wrong smile. It is too much teeth. His teeth are apart. It is a combat smile. He is not smiling because he is happy. He is smiling because smiling is the only way where you may bare one's teeth in polite company. I think that was a Terry Pratchett line too, and I'm not going to pretend that I came up with it. This fight is over. Those people are unimportant. You don't know their names. And
I have an important question about the fight being over, which is how badly injured are they when the fight is over?
Well, Matthew has an unfortunate life experience of being generally on the receiving end of diagnostic stress. So you're not you don't think he's dead, but one eye is just the purple red mess of repeated shots. You're almost entirely certain that there are more teeth at the beginning of the fight than there are at the end. He took a half a dozen exceedingly punishing body blows to the abdomen and the lower ribs. You're just kind of sitting there going, I would be dead. I would have fallen over and barfed and cried and died, or tried very hard not to. He is hurt. Maybe a hospital.
Okay.
Or probably more accurately, 15 minutes of pretty aggressive field medicine, and then too much alcohol, and a clean-ish room with a mattress with no sheets is probably going to be the level of medical attention that this guy gets.
Ben, as Clara is walking away, I want to try to do something, which is a weird combination of influence other, object of desire, and intimidation. I'm I have 3 skills that Clara wants to charismatically influence the husband to the point where he is I want to fuck or kill that person, and I'm not certain which, and he's on this hair's edge that if she in the future does the right thing, she can make him go over the edge. So it's the both intimidate and seduce thing she's trying to do. There's not a thing on my sheet except for there are 3 things on my sheet which all equal that.
Yeah, well, it's good that you brought up object of desire, because for some reason the fact that Clara has that refuses to stick in my brain. So how about now recall object of desire is a disadvantage.
Yes.
That's not good stuff.
No.
So we're going to put that in our back pocket. And now what are you recognizing that you can't use object of desire actively and understanding that it creates nothing but unhealthy urges?
Yes.
Is there anything that you are actively attempting to manifest? Are you trying to leave this guy with kind of a sense of frisson?
Yes. Yeah. So
Okay.
It's probably influence other seduction, kind of, that she's trying to, make him feel yes, she is dangerous and betrayed my family, but she's lovely and powerful and young and useful and the kind of woman that ignites passions.
Yeah. Okay. I get it. Let's see if you can. Let's see what happens. Roll influence other, and let's see what happens, and go from there.
Oh, well, oh wait, it's only a 9, but
Plus charisma.
So I only have charisma 3, so
Only.
it's a 12, but that's not awful. It's one in the middle of the roads.
Yeah. Your attempt has unintended repercussions. Everything was going. Okay, so what? Let's do your part first.
Yeah.
What influence other is to getting them to do what you ask them to do? What do you want? Like, what's your ask?
It's not a verbal ask. It's the give me a chance. I am worth more than you can ever imagine. It is that sort of smile and look, heavy, long look.
Okay, so what your kind of like what your ask, what your objective is to increase Clara's perceived, in their eyes, gross, enhance Clara's perceived value.
Yes.
Physically.
Yes.
Okay, so that works. The unintended repercussion is that you kind of watched Margaret's face close off a little.
Yeah.
It was like she gets it. It's that like, okay, I understand we're playing games of power here, and I understand that that's a political move, but you really just gave my husband the bedroom eyes right fucking in front of me.
Yep.
And like her reputation, like she's soured on you a little bit.
Yep, that makes sense.
Now, let's roll object of desire and see exactly how bad this is going to fucking get. So that's just straight roll.
5 and 4, 9. Oh, it's a straight roll. It's a 9.
It's a 9. A strong desire is awakened in one or several people. Yeah, okay, good job. Your wife hates you and he wants to fuck you. So, I mean, objective achieved, but now the angry man whose brother, whose sister you turned into a bloody gel squib.
I'm sure that was me.
Yeah, you did.
I did.
So, yeah, and that's probably the rest of the reason why Margaret has her interest. Yeah, definitely. I mean, you've got him, but it's. His interest is the very definition of like toxic masculine unhealthy. Like, you know, you slept with the cop to kind of get some pillow talk out of him and to get. If you let Alistair Westsmith take you to bed, he would beat you to death.
Yep.
I mean, and he's going to try to. Or respond exceedingly terribly at the fact that he can't.
Mm-hmm.
So, fun.
Yeah.
Is the player okay?
Yes,
Okay,
the player is fine.
You know.
This is where Matthew will have to come in and seduce the wife, and we'll be fine.
I like that you made this decision for me. Matthew's like, what? Somewhere all of a sudden Matthew sneezes.
So with that smile and that very complicated last mix of looks, Clara's disappearing back into the crowd towards Matthew and Bethany, trying to like reconvene.
Okay. Do we reconvene?
I think that, yeah, like Matthew's going to reconvene. You know, he's kind of gotten what he needed from Flaza, so he's going to try to find his sisters again.
Okay.
He's especially looking for Bethany because he's a little worried because she had to go off alone. He knows that Clara can take care of herself and totally isn't causing someone to want to murder fuck her. Clearly, she would not be so foolish.
Someone else, Matthew? Just someone or just someone else?
Look.
Sir.
But yeah, so that's sort of where he's at.
Okay. And Bethany, after your after the doctor asked you if you were there to suck David's dick before or after the fight, I think were the exact words. As at this moment of reconvening, how does Bethany feel?
Still pretty okay. Like, I don't remember what her exact blow off sentence that she said to the doctor was, but it was, again, she doesn't care. That's not a thing that she's ever going to be interested in. So wrong parts, don't care. He was wrong and he's still wrong, and a crude, awful man who probably is disgusting and rough and gross. So whatever. He's icky.
Yeah.
Men are icky. That's doctor has confirmed men are icky. Sorry, Matthew, men are gross.
I'm okay with you not being into men. I'm all right. I think
once is just enough, Matthew. Okay.
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm all right with that. We can stay normal and platonic. I'm not greedy.
Yeah, so Bethany is fine, and this doctor has confirmed that men are gross. The important thing to Bethany is that David is fine and has told her that he is fine, and has stated his preferences as to what happens to his things, and that he is content to handle himself but he sort of doesn't want further attention from the Van Horsts to deal in this. He just wants to go possibly murder people. So
yeah, the minimal logistics required for an entirely unregulated, practically street fight with betting involved, like the head of a pin's worth of logistics have been successfully accomplished.
Yeah.
So
he wanted to keep his stuff, and Bethany is gently concerned that some other fighter will take it, or that no one will know where it is and he will need a change of clothes and we'll have to go find it later in the locker room. But otherwise, he requested to keep them, so she let him. That was her concern. Like, the doctor's a gross man, but David told her that he's okay with how he's going to deal with it himself.
Yeah. Okay. So let's have a sibling conclave before David comes out. You know, there's 10 minutes. Everyone gets their drinks refreshed and that kind of.
Well,
you know,
during that time, I need to place a bet.
You do.
I'm not going to have David fight unless not make some money.
I did tell him we were betting on him, so I really hope so.
Yeah, I mean, you can't just have him out. Like, I know that part of this is that we need to take David for walking. And part of this is that we need to, I'm sorry you were drinking. And part of that is that, like, we need to, like, have an excuse to be here. But, like, also, like, put a capitalist in a place where he can make money off of other people's suffering and labor, and, like, he's going to do it.
Yeah.
So Matthew will put in, like, he'll look at basically, like, what some of the bets are, to kind of get a feel for what is too large, but he's going to basically put as large as would be allowable.
Do you ever see this show? I think it's Arrested Development, where the mom goes like, "How much is a banana?" Like $100 or whatever the line is.
Yeah.
I mean, there's definitely a moment where you're like, "What? These are $20 bets?" Like, yes, it's 57. Like, this is like, we're talking multiple days' wages sometimes. So the numbers seem small to capitalist shitlord Matthew, but he does manage to get a range.
Yeah.
And you hit the top end of it.
Because that's the thing, like, he doesn't want to put down an amount of money that is, like, that's just not even doable, right?
Yeah.
Like, he wants to put something that is doable, but at the high end of doable. He also is curious at seeing what the rankings, like the sort of, because, like, he's bringing in an unknown, right? So, like, what are the sort of, I forget what they're called, but for gambling, the odds, yeah.
Right now, David's odds are obviously fairly bad for him. I mean, he's a new fighter. He's untested.
Mhm.
You know, he's kind of a younger looking guy. He doesn't look very big. You know, he didn't walk in like,
Yeah.
you know, just with rippling thews, I think it is.
And that's only better for us. So
Yes.
like A+ for that. I was hoping for that.
Now, the question I have for you is, you can, like, these odds, like, there's not a lot of rules
Mhm.
on odds, and you know, you could really kind of manipulate this based off how you bet. You could make a kind of a public showing of betting a large amount of money in that kind of like, I've got faith in my man sort of vibe, or you could do something super duper subtle or something in between. Like, here's a chance for you to send a message to this room. Do you want to send that? Is there a particular message you'd like to send, or do we just make a sizable bet and move on?
So the message that he's wanting to send is something that's going to be later, because he doesn't want to send a message in how he bets, because anyone can be a fool with their money.
Yes.
So he's going to, what his goal is he's going to make as high as is appropriate bet quietly and subtly, so that it doesn't fuck up the odds for him. And then when his person comes out of left field and makes him a shit ton of money, his goal is then to be very public about how he is getting that. Because the things that he's trying to show is, one, he has people who can murder. Not that he's necessarily wanting David to kill the person. He, in fact, is, you know, not wanting to just randomly murder someone the first thing that they go in.
Are you saying it's not Are you saying it's not about the money? It's about sending a message?
Yes. But like the combo, basically, I have powerful people and I am shrewd enough and willing enough to like use my mind over my ego that I can make bank. And so you should be interested in seeing what I can do, is something that he's kind of trying to do with like the way that he's setting things up.
Okay. Yeah. That seems reasonable.
So he will quietly make a large bet.
Okay. And when we see how David does, we will see if you can
I can capitalize on that. Yeah.
how you can capitalize on that. Yeah. Okay. Bethany, you've kind of been a little bit of a passive observer so far. Is there anything else you want to do before David fights? I just want to double check with you.
I feel like we should have some momentary sibling conversation, because Bethany is the one who sent Clara over to the couple, but she doesn't actually know who they are yet.
Oh, shit. You're
And
right.
She is the one who exploded Lizzie like a blood bag that she popped with pins. She doesn't know her cousin's in the room, so she should.
Brother.
No. Elizabeth was Bethany's cousin, or whatever
That's-
she said.
That's right. So this
So
is
what's his fuck?
so this is Alistair too. Yup,
Alistair's
yup,
her
yup.
cousin. So Bethany's cousin's in the room and she doesn't know it yet. And yeah, I feel like the siblings should get a moment to all reconvene and like share their information before David rules out.
You know what? I brought a snack, so so the three siblings get together. How much privacy? Like there's you know, you could easily find a dark corner here to have a little meeting.
Yeah, Clara would kind of like, if David's not immediately coming out, she'd kind of give them both a little nod towards, you know, let's not do this in the middle of the crowd.
Yeah. Well, it's you know, half the group is refreshing drinks. Some people are coming, some people are leaving. Money has to go out, money has to go in. I'll say that you guys probably have somewhere around 10 minutes between each bout of the social constructs around combat betting, gladiatorial arenas.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
so go.
She comes up to them and kind of laces her hand through Matthew's and gives a little squeeze. So those two are Alistair and Margaret Westsmith. They are Bertrand's cousin, or no, Elizabeth Wright's cousins. Well, no, Elizabeth is Alistair's sister. That is They are the ones that are pulling the strings on Clemenza, and clearly they're not the happiest with us.
It makes sense he'd want to kill us then, I guess.
Alistair is incredibly cross and has a very quick to spark temper that Margaret knows how to control very well. And they are clearly in a partnership with their relationship. They are far more equals than Bertrand and Elizabeth were. And they have power here somehow, some way.
Do you think it's just them or the rest of the Phoenix Society?
That's left.
I mean, we didn't get all of them.
I know.
She told me directly that she believes they will rise from the ashes of where they are. So they certainly have some sort of power, but not as much as they used to. And they probably blame us for that.
Probably. We should probably send a letter to Izzy's foundation to ask after baby Malleus, actually.
Yes.
Just make sure that they don't know where he is.
Possibly a good idea there.
Yes, we can do that tomorrow.
He will give a glance over, to the happy couple, to get sort of a vibe of how or if they're looking at them now that the three of them are all together.
They are not looking at you, Yins. They are looking squarely at each other because they are absolutely 1010% having a 5 decibel argument.
Oh, that's great. A+.
Amazing.
I'm here for that.
Yes. So good.
That's great. I'm okay with that. I'm almost kind of want to do a read person on that. So I'm going to.
Yeah, they are people.
Yeah.
They are there to be read.
Okay, that is not great, but my intuition is pretty good. So let's see if it gets to the point that it needs to be. Whew. That is a 10.
Damn. Okay.
I rolled a 9, and I was like, I really hope I have something in intuition.
Yeah.
So yay. That is, I may ask one question, and I also get my auto "Are you lying?" question that doesn't actually matter right now because they're not saying any words. So of those questions, there's what are you about to do and what would you wish I would do. I'm going to say that my first sort of thing would be what do you wish I would do, but if that's not a pertinent thing because they're not focused on me, then what are you about to do?
You can get a sense of the shape of the conversation based off some body language. Alistair wants decisive action. He wants short timetable responses. Margaret is arguing for longer timetable responses. His body language is leaning forward. He's kind of looming over her. He uses it is clear that the genteel veneer that he used with Clara is like micrometer thin. Because now that he is not playing tame, he's like his shoulders are forward, his body is forward, his head is forward. He's doing all of those uncomfortable aggression body language things. And there's a lot of grabbing and chopping with his hands. I mean, they're low, they're down below the camera, they're kind of like at the waist level, so he's not he's not gesticulating wildly, but you can see that the things he's doing are like this, and you know, it's all of those dangerous combat murder motions, and yeah. So based off the information that you have, there's a chance that he is like, well, we should just go fucking kill them or have them killed, and she's saying, maybe not. Or maybe even not now. Maybe she absolutely wants you guys dead. She just wants it on a bigger piece of the calendar.
So, and I'll kind of tell you how I'm getting here, because it does have to, I feel like it almost has to be explained because we're in the 1950s. So Matthew knows that the person that he needs to deal with and the person that who he sees as both the more dangerous person and the more beneficial person is Margaret. And that's, you know, it's basically that, like, yes, he is a 1950s man and there's a lot of toxic masculinity and sexism that he has inherently as well, but he also knows his sisters and Sophia have shown him very well that women are terrifying, and can have a great deal of power and influence. And so, like, he's basically he's like, you know, he is not someone who deals with you know, quick short-term responses. Like, he's like, that's something that can fizzle out very quickly. It's dangerous in the moment, but like, you can easily outmaneuver that if you think ahead like 3 steps. Margaret is both more dangerous and more likely to be useful to them in the long run, because she can see whether or not making them enemies, like full-on enemies, is something that will harm her more than she thinks it's worth. And especially with their sort of like long-term goals of gaining power that extends beyond the cage. Look, if the Phoenix Society want to rule a false prison, we don't really care about the false prison in the long run. So if they want to be like the rulers of a cage, that doesn't necessarily go against what we want. You know, every king needs their vassals. And so, like, that's definitely a thing where, like, he is definitely taking the measure of the situation, being like, Margaret's the one that I need to focus on, even though I may have to work through her husband in some ways to, like, get there.
Okay. That all sounds like a perfectly legitimate read to me. So I don't think that line of logic, aside from the inherent toxicity in Matthew's brain, which, you know,
there's a lot of it. A lot of it. It had to get past a lot of that.
Yeah. By the way, we know Matthew's awful. Elon isn't awful.
Thank you. I appreciate
50% of the debrief that you guys don't particularly see is like Elon walking around the next day like he's been covered in bugs, just going ew, 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 ew. I had so much fun. Ew, 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 ew. Like, that's toxic masculinity is something that we're exploring, you know, as it is subtle horror and the way it relates to Elysium and the cage and the archons and all of that stuff. Like, we're doing that on purpose. But so you know, like, Elon is not.
I appreciate your defense of my honor. But yeah, I think that he'll kind of like look over him and then he'll nod. And both Clara and Bethany will see that his eyes linger on Margaret.
Okay.
She made a lovely joke about not being related to anybody we killed.
Oh, I like her.
Oh, that's delightful.
I might have pissed her off a bit, but sorry.
I mean, I don't know. He's terrible. Can we make him go away and just keep her?
She doesn't want him to lose his temper here, specifically here, and he very much wants to. So if we decide we want to embarrass or get him out of the way, setting him off is probably the way to do that.
Just, I would like her to not be in the way of his temper when that happens. I do have a tendency when men do something like that to break all their bones in the same way they've harmed someone. It's messy.
Maybe not here.
Exactly.
We'll see how David's fight goes and the rest of the evening.
He was
Maybe.
fine. He seems to be fine. It was a little, but he's fine, and he wanted to keep all his things. And the doctor is terrible and an awful, terrible man. And if David is hurt at all, we are not using him, because why would we ever? And he's a disgusting pig. But David seemed very excited to perform.
I love how strong the gay rage is. Like, I appreciate it. No, it's right. It's correct.
Dude!
Yeah.
You're gross, says Bethany.
Not sarcastic. Like, I
He was
love
extra gross.
Yeah. Okay.
If we need to embarrass Alistair, let's try to not do it tonight. There will be other fights. We could embarrass him again. Tonight is David's night, really.
Exactly. Oh, I think it would be better if we were embarrassing Alistair somewhere where his temper was more damning. Here, it's a fight. Angry men are angry men. Somewhere where it matters that he's not in control is a better place to set him off.
You need some grace for him to fall from.
Yes. So tonight we enjoy ourselves and
Exactly.
David.
Yes. I did
Okay.
tell him we were betting on him. I hope that happened.
Oh, yes. I bet blank amount of appropriate amount of money.
I assumed, but, just to be sure.
Do they let women bet? I'll put one down too.
It looks pretty fucking equal opportunity here.
Yep.
Feel free.
Which way? She gets directions.
He will gesture towards where the bookie is and state, I am trying to keep the size of our bets subtle. Don't make a big production of it.
She very casually puts down $5 less than he did.
Okay. So, it is now time for David to fight. It is now time for your bondsman to show his things. His opponent comes out first. I mean, kind of in the there is an amount of hype. Clemenza does introduce him. His name is Roberto. He's not big. Like this is not like David Goliath situation here. He's got David, however, by, maybe 3 or 4 inches and maybe 20, 30 pounds. Like there's an absolute size difference here. And the guy's language is very, it's all of the gladiatorial language. His shoulders roll with that, with that calm. Like he's stripped to the waist. He's wearing a pair of jeans. He's wearing work boots. There's this kind of, there's a very blue collar working man sort of vibe. Kind of this, came off the floor and came over here and drank 3 beers and did 3 shots and took my shirt off and made a week's wages in an hour doing some fights, sort of, blue collar sawdust sort of vibe. And Clemenza he's nervous because he's not dumb. I mean, he is a power player in the mob in Las Vegas. You don't survive that being dumb. But what he is aware that the power dynamic of the room is incorrect. And that he has not read the new circuit in its entirety. He understands that there are things going on in this room that he doesn't know. And he understands that at this point, he is directly involved in something that is happening. And he does not like being in a position where unknown things are happening all around him, and this is not his happy place. I mean, Clemenza is a man where, maybe he doesn't like making all the decisions, but he likes knowing all of the things. And this is not where he's at. So he says, we have some new visitors recommended to us. Then they managed, and they brought themselves a fighting man. His name is David. He looks good. He looks tough, young, a go-getter. And, bets are closed. Sorry, guys. And here he is. So there's the susurrus of contemplative conversations, and David comes out, and there's just a couple of seconds of frantic last-minute betting here and there. As people take his measure, kind of as Clemenza says, and bets are closing. So clearly there's kind of this ritual where you get maybe 90 or 60 seconds after he says that bets are closed to actually bet. Kind of the transgression of the transgression of betting under the table sort of vibe, the panic. Only one of you have seen this so far. So for two of you, this is probably going to be a little jarring. David has a tattoo across his entire left pectoral. It is black, and it is dark black. It is not shitty jail black. It is not crappy port tattooist somewhere in the South China Sea black. This is a good professional black. It is a crow or a raven or something, and there's some squiggly curly cues around it. It probably don't have a lot of reference for things like kind of like Celtic, Norse knot work style.
Bethany's seen it but didn't know what it was, but Kate does and is really hype.
Yeah, I know what this is. Matthew was like, Kate, I didn't know he was a criminal.
Bethany,
I thought he was in the army.
And is like, okay. And Kate is like, my baby, the child of the Morrigan. Go onto the battlefield, my son. Let's go. Way too hype about it.
Yeah. And as he gets closer, the conversation stops. It looks like respect, but there's a little bit of fear in there. There's Margaret and Alistair seem to be rapidly doing a bunch of math mentally.
Good.
And David steps into the ring. There's a little bit of a kind of a, the rules are few, but they are basically adhered to, like, no eye gouges, no crotch shots. If the fight, if someone is knocked out of this kind of ring of people, you let them back in. It's kind of the fight stays inside the ring. It's not a lot of rules. And the few rules that there are essentially like, please don't damage the money-making animals so that they can't work. Please don't cripple the livestock. Please don't cripple the livestock, and please don't get blood on our shoes. Is pretty much the extent of the rules here.
Matthew is taking actually pretty close, listening to those rules, specifically because if David seems like he gets too into the fight and is about to break one of them, he wants to be aware of it. Fair.
I promise to let you know. I didn't describe them all, but if it seems like he's going to break one, I will let Matt, the GM will let the player know that that's about to happen.
That's me just taking a ticky for that.
No, that's good. Good flag. So the fight begins. The fight does not begin as explosively as some of the other fights that you've seen tonight, a lot of these guys have apparently fought each other several times, or they know each other, because it really seems like these are almost feel like a lot of them feel like grudge matches, where there's already a lot of emotion built into the fight, and when they come out, they're already ready to rock and roll. This one is two people that haven't fought each other, and they're both professional fighters, so there's a little bit of, there's some back and forth. You know, and David's hands are up kind of like in a very classic pugilist's pose, and he's going around the outside of the ring, of the fighting space, and he's doing it with his shuffled feet. Bethany, roll 6 sense. Or if you think you had a hold from last game, we're still in the same scene, you can feel free to burn one.
I would rather roll, because I feel like I had one, but it was specifically about if something got out of control and came for the siblings.
Okay, yeah, we can re-roll it for tonight.
So
Yeah.
I'd rather re-roll for now.
Not mad about it.
Okay, well, I rolled a 9, but it's plus soul, so it's a 13.
9 number of the night.
It is, but it's okay, because many souls. So 13. So I am at whatever that middle of the road thing is for 6 cents. Which just means I get 2, I believe.
That's what I think too.
Yeah, I get 2 during the session.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
Okay, discover or sense a clue. That's kind of where we're at right now.
Yeah, I'll take it.
You realize as soon as he completes this action that David has just completed a circle in blood around the ring.
Bless my baby, starting a ritual. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Like, it doesn't like it. It doesn't register until he comes back to the point, because you're like, okay, now he's gone all the way around the fucking circle. And Roberto is like, he's been like, there's been some tests here. This seems to be starting as kind of like a very classic bare knuckle boxing style. So there's a lot of, you know, protect the face, protect the chest. There's a lot of that classic technique going on, but David's just absolutely very calmly and quietly shuffled around the corner. And when his foot finishes that circle, he launches.
Bethany definitely has a slightly delighted reaction to that happening.
So this is the point where the bare knuckle boxing stops and absolute shit fuck bananimals mayhem begins. David goes after Roberto, and Roberto hits him a couple of times. Like this is not just like a let's introduce the tough character in the action movie. This isn't the first 20 minutes of The Expendables. Like there is some back and forth, but David just comes at him, and like Roberto gets a couple of really good shots, and actually like gives David the Terminator punch where his head rocks back, but it clearly didn't shake his brain. And it's a disaster. This is absolute. This is the public dissection of a human being. David doesn't care if he gets hit. He's taking a swing, and he knows when he takes that swing that there's going to be a jab, and he just takes it and just returns it. And there's knees thrown. I mean, this is Roberto was trained and schooled in the like classic American fisticuffs style, where a majority of what happens is done with punches. It is boxing derived. David is not. David is nasty, dirty, shitty United States military close combat training. This is a dude who has killed people with knives in trenches, in the dark, in the dirt and mud. And you can almost see those moments play back out when he hits. You can see them. He's almost responding to things that aren't there. Mm-hmm. It's very subtle. And if you all hadn't seen David in other fights in other ways and kind of felt that bloodshed, that cold murder aura that he gives off, you would be like, is David okay? Or is David having a touch of whatever Bethany has? Because it does seem like he's responding to something that isn't quite there, like he's working with a different set of information. But folks, it's terrifyingly effective. Roberto seems to be a good man, seems to be a decent pugilist. I mean, there doesn't really, he doesn't have any like weird tattoos. He doesn't have there's nothing that indicates anything about this guy other than the fact that he's just some blue collar guy who's good at beating the shit out of people and does it a couple of times a week for extra beer money. Yeah, is he a good guy? No. Is he just a dude, generally unmolested by the cold and awful terrors of the truth of the universe? Yeah. and right now he's David, the nascent murder angel's chew toy. And the fight goes for about 5 minutes. And it only takes that long because David eventually just starts taking him apart. Like this, so like the first couple of minutes is real brutal and really close in, and there's lots of punches and jabs and disengage and re-engage and some grappling, and it's very fast and it's very frenetic. As soon as it goes, it fucking goes. And then after that, it slows down a little bit as David actually walks around him. Like at this, we're starting to get to the point where this is now a predator playing with his food. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're getting into that pursuit predator, sadist bad way. Like this is getting bad, and this is getting a little dirty. And there's blood all across his tattoo. His nose is bleeding. Like he's got a swollen lip over here. One of his eyes is a promise of a shiner. Like Matthew, you're thinking about the classic steak on the eye routine, and you're like, oh my God, where am I going to get a steak at 2:00 in the morning without anybody asking me questions? Dude, would room service send me up? Yeah, like a 24 ounce ribeye entirely uncooked in a bucket of ice? Could I get that? Yeah, probably. The amount I paid for that fucking room, they better bring up the whole damn cow.
Yeah,
like unlike Bethany's unabashed glee, Matthew's not like looking at this in a like, ooh, I'm so enjoying it sort of way. He's watching every part of this fight very carefully though, because he is one, wanting to see what David can do, and two, he is watching to see if he needs to step in.
Okay. So far, I mean, David is.
So far, it seems good. Yeah, like.
Well, it's awful.
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah, any reasonable man would have ended this probably. Like Clemenza should have ended this like a minute ago.
Well, that's Clemenza's choice.
Yes. Well, he's used to guys just punching each other until eventually someone's brain swells and they fall over. This is like concussions are really great match timers, and this is not how this is working.
Clara gets to the point where it should have ended a minute ago and we hit that and David's still going. She is playing dumb sister woman going, oh, you would think that he would yield by now. She has said that loud enough that hopefully people around her will hear. And maybe there's just so much blood.
This is
hiding her smile behind her drink.
This This is the only time in the last like 4 years that you have like David's servant face is really good.
Mm-hmm.
He spent a lot of time on the like I am entirely nonplussed by anything.
Mhm.
You know, even the still beating heart wrapped in his lunch wrapper was still kind of like, this is a clusterfuck. Time to hide this. He was kind of very, very blasé about it. But when you said he should have yielded by now, it is the only time in the last 4 years that David has shot you an honest to God dirty fucking look.
Oh.
Like it is nasty, Nastee, nasty. Like it is the full like look up from underneath the eyebrows. Like
Clara catches the look and just gives a single wave of her hand. They continue.
And he does. So essentially what at this point what's happening is that Roberto is like right on the edge of incapacitation.
Mhm.
But he is a stubborn, he is exactly who he is. He's a hard worker, he's very healthy, he's fed well, probably also a veteran himself. And he's used to being punched.
Yeah.
and you know, and so he's used to functioning under this kind of level and style of concussive injury. And so if it was somebody other than David, he might be able to pull this fight off just based off the other person should also be as bad as Roberto is.
Mhm.
I mean, but he's not. And so essentially what's happening is that like Roberto kind of like gets his shit together, stands up, readdresses his stance, starts approaching David, and David just intercepts him and knocks him down.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, you know, grabs him. It's a throw or a pull, or he just fake punch right to the middle of the jaw. You're not entirely certain, and David is having a lot of fun. He's having probably too much fun.
Hmm.
He needed walkies.
Yeah.
It's been
Well,
a
it's
We did need him to have walkies.
well,
really long time.
yeah.
We've not regularly exercised our David.
Yeah. Well, you know, you've got to exercise him or he gets the fucking zoomies. So
Yeah.
The murder zoomies are the hardest zoomies.
Real.
Yeah.
oh Lord.
I'm sorry, we're terrible.
Having fun.
That's great. So it's after a couple of minutes, it's Clemenza should have stopped this.
Mhm.
And there is a moment like, does anyone like who wants to check on Clemenza? Like who wants to look up to see? Okay. Matthew looks up and sees Clemenza, and standing next to Clemenza with his hand around Clemenza's shoulder and that like, come here, buddy vibe is Alistair.
Yes.
And it is like you can see the shoulder of Clemenza's suit wrinkling underneath Alistair's hand.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I'll give this to you. You can see some purpling up
Okay.
Alistair's fingers, like almost like a almost like a bruise.
Yeah.
Coming up his fingers, and you can see like something unhealthy is happening underneath his skin, and it's blood related.
Explode you too.
And so Clemenza is very much kind of like, he's like, yeah, okay, I'm not in control. And this is the first time tonight that Clemenza has absolutely felt like he's not in charge. And he is in crisis, and people who believe themselves to have authority in crisis tend to do really dumb things. And so it's going to like, it's kind of that note that you're going to have to soft hand Clemenza a little bit for the next couple of interactions, because he is like
Not doing great.
it's not doing great. Like his power structure is not correct, and he is in panic, and later this panic will translate to anger.
It's okay. We just need to make sure that the anger gets directed to the right direction.
Yeah, like the arc of masculine narcissism ends in anger. So, okay, and so this fight isn't going to be stopped, and Clemenza apparently he's not going to stop it because Alistair doesn't want it to stop. And Alistair's kind of he's breathing a little hard. And there is kind of like it's not a lot, but there's definitely that kind of a primal / sexual kind of vibe to his breathing. There's a rolling of the torso and the hips. Like he's not dry humping Clemenza, but he's definitely like he's got a lot of strong feelings, and most of his feelings are below his belly button about the situation right now.
I'm going to use magical intuition.
Okay, go for it. I'm going to look that one up because I want to make absolutely certain that you get the right information on this question.
So that is a soul.
It is.
Yep.
And that is a 10. So not great, but not terrible.
So it's a total of 10?
Yeah, it's a total of 10.
Okay.
It was not a super high. It was not a super high roll.
Okay. Fine.
But my my two things would be, one, because he looked at this place before to kind of see where things were weakest, and he's trying to see if the illusion has gotten weaker due to this fight, and like if it's feeding into what we already knew was something that was built on the bones of this thing. So that was like the first thing, and since I get 2 if it's a 10, I believe at least. Yeah, 2 options. I guess I want to see if the fight itself has a magical nature.
Ooh, okay. That's not the question I thought you were going to ask. That's a good question, though.
Yeah, because like I already know that I've looked at David using magical intuition before. I know that he is something that is not fully bounded by the cage.
Yeah, he's an almost.
Yeah, he's an almost. He's starting to like stick his fingers through those bars. So like he's not looking at that right now, but he wants to see, like he doesn't have the information that Bethany does of the ritual aspect, but he's like, something is clearly affecting Alistair.
Yeah.
And is this like, he's wanting to see if there's something about the fight itself that is not just like the fueling of whatever this rip is in some ways, but also is magical in itself.
Yes. There is something ritualistic going on right now.
Okay.
And it is centered around David.
Okay.
And it is not good.
Yeah.
Like this is, I mean, you've seen rituals performed with Metropolis in mind. I mean, you've seen things that the servants of the Archons have done.
Yeah.
This ain't that. This is the other place. This reminds you of the boiler room.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And the beachhead of madness.
Basically, keeping my eye out on if this goes too far. Then, just kind of confirms my own feelings on that.
You know what? It goes too far. We all know that it's going to go too far.
We all know it's going to go too far. We all know this.
We've had enough foreplay. It goes too far. David punches Roberto in the ear, directly in the ear, and you can watch the physical and neurological damage that like, and it was completely unnecessary. Like,
Had
and
Roberto yielded yet?
he has not technically yielded, but you are also not entirely certain that Roberto could string 2 syllables together. Because this guy's combat style is clearly like out-chunk the other guy. And as is what happens with the Van Horsts and the people that work for them, expectations are being subverted.
Does it seem like after he hits him in the ear, and I assume Roberto starts to go down at that point, or
Yeah.
is just does it seem like David is going to continue?
Yes, there is nothing about David's bearing that makes you think he's going to stop. But I can tell you that when he punches Roberto in the ear, the room's tenor changes. You hear a couple of too far, too far, too far. You know, like, where the hell is Clemenza? Like, the tenor of the room is about to change. And if you don't stop him...
This is the point where I was like, I need to make sure I act at this point.
Yes.
And that's when he'll say, that's enough. And if I need to do an influence other for that because David's already too far gone, I will do that.
You know what? I'm an asshole, so we're going to take 5, and then you're going to roll influence other.
Here for it.
Because I'm an awful, terrible, cruel person. So we're all going to take a minute. We're going to empty what needs emptied, fill what needs filled, and we're going to be right back at 9:30 on the dot.
Perfect.
So go refill your drinks, put new ice in them, and we will all find out whether or not David listens to his master.
So...
Yep.
Stand down. That's enough.
All right. Roll influence other.
Please don't. Yes. Okay. So that is a 12 plus charisma, which is 3. So that is a 15.
Okay. Lucky you.
I'm going to also roll after that on Inspire. Tell me when you want me to roll that.
Once David gets to respond.
Okay.
And how loud are you? Like, are you sotto voce for that, or are you going for full stage presence? Would Clara be proud of you right now?
The way that he's trying to do it is, and this is a production in itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's the thing of he's speaking loud enough that David can hear him, which means that everybody else can hear him.
Yes.
But he's not shouting it, because the idea that he's trying to portray is someone who is in control enough that there's no franticness, there's no, like, that's why he's been so like focused this entire time, because he's been prepping himself so that there is no sense of drama or franticness or like, oh shit, something's going wrong. It is, he has done what he has come here to do, and now he is finished.
Okay. So just Matthew's been sitting here just internally clenched for the last 5 minutes.
Oh yeah, no, there's been like, he's not been having any fun with this fight. He's like, I've got to do this perfectly or else I will fail.
And you pull it off. So, you know, that's thrilling. A 9 would have been super hella bad.
Yeah, it would have.
When the first part of that David gives you is confusion. Like what the fuck is that? Like, what? And then, you asshole. Like, he goes through the 5 stages of grief, like, in front of you. And just only because you rolled a 15. Like, only because you got maximum positive result. Like, the consequences of that, like...
Yeah, the consequences I was really worried about.
Yeah, I mean, 9 or under would have been, come in here and fucking make me.
Yeah.
And that would have been #big problems.
Yeah.
So, but he does. And you can almost watch, like, Bethany is almost certain that she can see the folding in. Mm-hmm. of some part of David, and he puts on his people suit and he lets go of Roberto Right, because the ear punch, Roberto starts going down. David kind of grabs him part way. Hand comes back. That's enough. Stand down. And he just kind of, in that, like, I wasn't going to do my drug. Like, you've seen Clara do these hands. These are Clara's, like, I wasn't about to shoot up. No, like, those are those hands. And he curls them. And you can hear the joints cracking, like you can hear the damaged bones in his hands, and like the promise of arthritis that all those micro fractures give him. And he just takes it, puts his hands down, inclines his head very carefully, and then turns to walk towards the back room, the locker room, which is probably, this little warehouse's lunchroom. Do you want to change that? Is there any part of that you'd like to affect?
That's all good. Like, okay. He's all fine with that. Like, he will give a nod even, like, to the in sort of like acceptance of the inclination. He knows that this is something that like hurts David in a way, right? Like, this is putting his drug in front of him and taking it away. Yeah. But it also is, in a horrible way, training David to be like obedient to commands even in stressful situations, so that if there's a situation where we do need David to kill someone, we know that he's not going to turn around and kill us. Because that's a worry that Matthew has. Like, you don't train someone to just murder, or you don't, in this case, like, we want to use like horrific metaphors. You don't, train a dog to rip everyone's throat out and then not train them to obey and delay satisfaction. Yes. Because that's how you die. I'm going to do the other roll. Mm-hmm.
2 or 20.
That's a 17 before my charisma. So adding my charisma, that's 20. Yeah. And I'm using awe-inspiring, which is the exact words of it are whenever you make a show of being the boss, roll plus charisma. Yup. And 15 plus is people around you accept you as your leader and listen to you. Take +1 ongoing towards people in the scene. And the way that he's trying to frame this, especially after like seeing the stuff that was going on with Alistair, is like when things were going poorly and people started making the mutterings of like, this is too much, the people who were in charge didn't stop the fight. Matthew did. And he's going to also, because it includes everyone in the scene, he is going to give a look to Clemenza. Uh-huh. And that's going to be the look that's playing on their conversation from earlier, which is basically your current boss forced you to look bad in front of other people by not calling the fight, where I stopped the fight before it would be something where you would have to have serious embarrassment. Mm-hmm. Like, pick a better boss, yo. Yeah. So that's sort of the vibe that he's trying. He knows that this is not something that's going to be like, whether or not this works or not works on Alistair, he's kind of ignoring it. But like, the important part is like basically making sure that like he is seen as a leader who, even though he is the cause of the problem, solved the problem. And it's very much a sort of, I had a rhetoric teacher who once explained rhetoric as the equivalent of creating a problem that makes people distressed and then telling them that you have the solution to the problem that you already created. And it's basically hitting someone with a rock and then giving them Advil. And then they thank you for it. Oof. That's why Plato said that no one should ever learn rhetoric without learning ethics first. Plato might have been right. Yeah, no, straight up, rhetoric's dangerous.
Rhetoric's so fucking dangerous.
Okie dokie. Well, I won't sleep tonight. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Learn logical fallacies, kids.
Right. By the way, if you look out there, there's somebody that has a bunch of the like NFL umpires calling out all the logical fallacies that people use in arguments. There's a couple galleries of that.
Really good.
I don't know why. Maybe you want to keep that in your back pocket. So, yeah, Alistair is no longer standing next to Clemenza. In these past few minutes, they seem to have disengaged. Alistair is now standing next to Margaret, or maybe more accurately, Margaret is standing next to Alistair.
Mm-hmm.
And she is full formality. She has his left arm in the full 2-hand and elbow, most imperially formal, like my husband has given me his arm and we are standing next to each other. But you have a really strong sense that that's a like, motherfucker, I need you to not. I need you to not. And the other thing to see is that Alistair has actually, like, one arm is down here, but his hand is in his pocket and his other hand is kind of like underneath his coat a little bit. Not the Napoleonic tuck, but kind of like under his coat, almost as if he's got like an itch or something. Or maybe he's trying to hide whatever his fingers were doing while he was holding on to Clemenza. But apparently he's used to it because he's really good. Like, he honestly looks like he's just a guy who's standing there. He's got his wife on his arm. He's standing there watching a thing. Maybe he's worn his braces, his suspenders for too long, and he's starting to get a little uncomfortable. You know, it looks very natural. I mean, so terrifyingly enough, this guy is used to covering up whatever the fuck is happening to his body.
So, I just wanted to put in here, Claire's immensely turned on.
I like how that's like, we just need to put that out there.
You did that. I'm just thinking Claire's just like, hot. He's so hot. I need him. And then when she looks up and realizes Margaret is doing that and controlling, she puts her arm through Matthew's, and she doesn't need to control at all. She is just looking very elegant and very happy and like they are powerful and in control, and arm through and then doing the quiet clap for the end of the fight of the let's cheer them on. Good job, boys. Come on.
Okay.
She is backing up his power play and putting herself in the natural second queenly position, even though she's his sister, but she's real turned on and needs to mark some territory.
This is fine.
I love you guys. Okay, so Bethany, would the schizophrenic kind of psychic kind of wizard like to do something healthy in response to this, or are you just going to go 3 for 3?
I mean, we could try.
What would you like to do?
Okay. Bethany would actually like to, I think, use magical intuition to look at the ring now that David has left it, to see if it looks like an unfinished ritual and or if it looks dangerous in any way to the illusion.
Okay.
Like, I feel like that is her first concern, is she is the one who like knew that David was kind of doing a weird death murder ritual thing and was about it, and then was like, oh, we stopped it before the murder happened. Is there a magical danger that is happening because we walked him off?
Okay.
Which is a 13 plus soul, so 17. Right, so I get all of the things. So really, I guess it's a toss-up between something has a magical nature or the illusion is weakest between the dimensions, in the like, there was a magical nature that was the ritual, and she's really concerned about what the status of that is and if it is weakening the dimensions by being unfinished.
Well, it's as I said, there was kind of a gladiatorial arena, blood-colored obsidian altar, blood-stained obsidian altar sort of vibe. And I mean, it's there.
Yeah.
It's you know, like when something bad, something foul has dried.
Yes.
And essentially the olfactory component of whatever foulness that is has essentially gone. And then you start to clean it. And the first thing you do is re-wet whatever you're cleaning. And then the olfactory component returns.
Yeah.
That, except murder. Senseless murder. I mean, like, it's just... and that's the thing. It's just... David didn't need to do any of that. Like, he beat the hell out of that guy. That fight was won 120 seconds before it, after it started. And there was an equal amount of time where it was just vivisection by fist.
Sure.
And it is that second half that is the vibe.
Okay.
It doesn't feel like there is an inherent danger. Like this isn't a thing that's going to suddenly activate and take your sister's lower arm and hand to Metropolis to be chewed on by something that's like half cockroach, half dog skull.
That's the important question here. Okay.
So yeah, it doesn't look, but gosh, for better or for worse, like if you let David fight here and if you let him get out of control a couple times, you actually think you could get something going. Like there is a capacity here to store and release senseless murder, ultra violence, terrorism. I mean, terrorism isn't really a word that's used in the 50s, but it's like I'm trying to get the vibe in to Kate's head. Like it's not just like it's not noble warfare. It's none of that. It's just it's senseless brutality.
I mean, ultra violence is pretty good for the
yeah.
Kate, right? But it is mostly like me being like, okay, cool. What Bethany is really storing is good job, David. That's not the vibe we want. We need to find another place to cultivate you.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. It's like, okay, this is the wrong place to take our dog for walkies. Like, that's not the vibe we need. And not that what David's doing is bad or wrong or that he should not be allowed to do a murder. Like, Bethany has done a murder because someone looked like a blood bag and Elizabeth made her feel gross. Like, there was not a good reason for that.
They shot me.
Yeah.
They did shoot Clara.
Yeah, that was my excuse. That wasn't the reason.
It's true. You were just like, I don't like her.
It's not the reason. Like, she was insulting. She said that she was should be more important because she was a blood relative than the siblings were. And Bethany was offended. And she looked like a blood bag and Bethany wanted to pop it. So the excuse was that her husband shot Clara. And also, like, McMurdered beat the shit out of the odds of David that Bethany liked. And so she popped her like a blood bag and, broke every bone in his body in the exact same fashion that he hurt that poor creature.
For the audience, the woman who was popped like a blood bag is Alistair's sister.
Yes.
So Alistair's purpling fingernails. Clara is remembering a lot of purple bruises on Elizabeth and that used to run in the family.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Wright was a congenital hemophiliac, as is a lot of European royalty. I don't know.
Yeah, and what kind of annoying blood bags they both were.
Right, and so it gently presented to Bethany's psychosis as a walking, talking human blood bag in a very tangibly poppable sense.
Yeah.
And then her husband was awful and Nick murdered a creature and Bethany got mad and also shot Clara. And then Bethany got mad and attempted to break him the way that he broke the creature. Because
Succeeded, honey. Succeeded.
Yeah, you definitely succeeded.
That was a success.
Yeah, but Matthew helped.
Well, we did do that together, and I think that was a beautiful moment of sibling bonding.
That was joint sibling bonding into murdering the man who shot our sister. We were mad about it. But anyway, point being, Bethany is not real good at, like, murder is bad.
I really am a fan of this because I think that Matthew would agree on the, like, oh, we just need to cultivate this murder into a different direction, because, like, that's part of how that feeds into also the hierarchical nature of trying to like rein in David when necessary. Like if he's a murder bot on command, that's different than being just a murder bot for murder.
Yeah.
You're becoming your father.
direction.
I'm so proud of you.
Look, I'm becoming better than my father, and that's the goal.
Okay.
Yes.
Super healthy.
Super healthy.
But yeah, so the point of that being is that, like, Bethany has no space for murder is bad in her brain. Because, I mean, Bertrand...
Inefficient, inconvenient, unhelpful.
Yes.
Early.
Not necessarily bad, and shouldn't be done to me personally or my siblings, because then I'll have to kill you about it. But, like, Bertrand did a bad and we killed him because he were wrong. He did several bads, but, like, Elizabeth didn't necessarily do a bad other than be insulting and be who she was in a way that made Bethany tactily uncomfortable. And the tactily uncomfortable part was the part where she's like, no, I need to stick a pin cushion, like a pin in that, and, like, let that drain out. You are a blood bag and it has to be burst. It was very visceral and very bad. And she did it. So the thing is that, okay, this is the wrong venue for David, is her assumption on that. She's not going to ignore her cousin in the room and his wife, who she gently wants to somehow talk to and find out if he's terrible, if she doesn't really like him, and we can rescue her and kill him at the same time, because that's what she would like best.
So, like, do we need to commission a cover of Earl Had to Die, like, on a harpsichord?
I mean, we'll get a friend with a ladder. I don't know, but yeah,
Okay.
like, that's where she is like, Marjorie, you're better than he is, and can we come take you away? Because, oh God, we can just kill him and he can go away, and
you know,
be over here now, and that's better. Because you're obviously smarter and better in control, and we don't have to control Matthew like that. So, men are gross and Matthew's gently better, and we need to find a better space for David.
I have a new ship for Bethany, I guess.
He's still here for the woman in red, but you know.
Bethany can have multiple loves. It's fine.
That's fine. She will not have a problem with that until the woman in red does, because then that's a harder choice than killing her other selves.
That's true.
But yeah, so Bethany is mostly, she did the look and is like, okay, this is the wrong venue to let David be free.
Be free, my little murder face. Be free.
Look, very obviously, David needs to do a murder to gently, like, get that out of his system, or to be able to do a murder for us when we need him to. He was not allowed to do a murder tonight because it was wrong. Also, if he did a murder here tonight, it would not be the thing that we wanted. So we need to control the way that he does a murder so that it is favorable for us.
Love this family.
Those are Bethany's feelings. She's not sane or a good person. Those are very not the same thing.
Yeah, some games Bethany's player is quiet, but you need to understand that she's still at a low simmer.
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Sometimes, yes. Sometimes Bethany's very quiet. Sometimes Bethany's not very here. But because Bethany's not very here, her attachment to this reality and to the people in it is really low.
Really super duper low.
If you're not directly important to her, she doesn't care, and if you make her feel squicky, she'd rather you were dead. Not good.
Okay.
Anyway, so that was her assumption, was that, okay, David shouldn't be let loose here. Good to know.
Yeah, well, I feel like you needed a little bit of catharsis there. That seemed a little
I mean, fine.
cathartic.
That was a lot. That was a lot of cathartic for me.
Good.
That was all of the internal Bethany for a while, for the whole game, pretty much.
Good.
That was all of Bethany's internals. So coming back to where we are now is going, okay, so this is not the place to let David loose, and then therefore being gently not concerned, but then the like not paying attention to the crowd, but making sure that like he goes off to where he is supposed to go and will come out and find us again. And if he does not come out and find us in the relevant amount of time that Bethany thinks is the correct amount of time for David to have been seen by the doctor and released with his like clothes on and things, she will go find him and retrieve him. Because she's currently in charge of David.
Mm-hmm.
That's
So,
what that would be.
so essentially, like sexual component absent, you kind of have to Lady in Red David tonight.
All right, yeah.
You're dressed for it. You've got
Yeah.
the lady in red.
Go collect that boy.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so he doesn't come out.
That's fine. So
He
Bethany
does
will-
not. His timeline does not meet your expectations.
Then Bethany is going to look at her siblings who are linked arms and looking very cool and being like, I'm going to go fetch our driver.
Okay.
Do you want any of us to come with you?
If you want to come, you can. I expect it's the fighters and the doctor who's disgusting and David.
It's up to you. You could go with Bethany and respond with Bethany to whatever she's about to experience, or you could stay out here and get some more names and shake some more hands and, you know, do a little bit of glad handing because you did just inspire awe.
Yeah.
It's true.
And so now a lot more people want to be like, hello, sir, how are you? Like,
Clara's gonna look at Matthew and go, one, if not both of us, needs to stay out here. Do you want me to go with her?
You should go with her. I just want to make sure that you're both safe.
She squeezes his arm because she can't kiss him in public.
He will ever so platonically pat her arm. Yes, it is very platonic.
She gives him a platonic kiss on the cheek.
Oh, so
He
platonic.
goes to his sister and goes, yes, darling, let's fetch our driver.
Okay. So then, yes, Bethany and Clara then make their way. Bethany will lead Clara to the back room where
Yes.
she left David with the doctor in the first place.
okay. David is back there. Roberto is back there. Roberto is being seen to by the doctor. David has apparently been seen to. He's got some, there's some butterflies. There's some basic wound care. It looks like maybe there's been some trigger warning, knife surgery. He's had like the blood beginning to get drained. He's been cut in the classic boxing style to keep the swelling down.
Yeah.
He generally looks fine, and he is sitting there and he's got like a little galvanized metal pail with a rag with water, and he's just kind of taken off the top layer. And so he's doing this with the rag, and he's just kind of bringing it down and over his face. And when the rag in his hands make it down past his eyes, Bethany and Clara, they're gun barrels. They're gun barrels, they're spotlights, they're corpse pits. And he kind of, it's not that he's being rude, it's that he's being very slow and kind of methodical, and this is clearly like he is doing a thing. And so he says, did we make any money?
We did.
Good.
And we've decided this is the wrong venue for you, and we'll be finding you a better one.
Bethany, remember how you kept a move from Sixth Sense that lets you act if there is danger?
Yes.
Oh no.
Yes.
You are using that move now.
Great.
Because you have that move, you have a chance to keep this from becoming explosive.
Great.
Because he is way, like, you needed to do that in 2 days. That was
He was not ready. It's okay.
he was not ready. Yeah. And clearly part of his controlling mechanism was he had promised himself later, and you just took later from him. And
I didn't mean that later. I just meant that here later. We're gonna find you a better place soon, but that's fine.
that's not what he heard. Like
That's okay.
he is addicted. He is addicted to ultraviolence. Like Clara is addicted to heroin. Any kind of you ain't getting is disaster. Like there is no nuance in an addict hearing.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
So you have a chance to do something. It can be verbal, it can be physical, it can be eschatological. But you have a chance to
Good.
redirect energy.
Okay, 1 second. Let me look at stuff I have.
This is one of those
Don't-
ones.
Please don't hit him with contagious insanity.
No, I don't want to do that to poor David. That would be not fair.
No,
You have a
that's
lot of
not some-
tools.
That's not something that happens to David. That's something that happens to everyone around David.
That doesn't matter with Bethany. That's just not fair. Okay. Oh, I'm gonna do it. It's fine. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna try it. I am gonna try to use telekinesis to hold him if he tries to move.
Okay, you're gonna try to
either
fucking Dark City David. Awesome.
If he tries to if the anger of I cannot have my need means anger at Clara or at Bethany, yeah, she's going to try to freeze him in place and not let him have the violence towards them about it. He has to sit still.
Roberto's still there too. Are you going to freeze him if he goes to finish the kill?
No.
Bethany.
Talk about that too. I don't give a fuck. You're important, and Clara's important, and Bethany's important, and fuck everybody else in the room. But if he tries to go for us because I have denied him the immediacy of his need, then I'm going to freeze him in place or attempt to at psychic damage.
Okay. Before you decide whether or not you're going to freeze him in place, okay, this whole thing is happening because you spent a move on that.
Yeah.
Let's roll act under pressure. Because essentially, you're trying to see if murder is going at you or whizzing past your ear in the slow motion matrix camera. And there's not a lot of space.
That's a wretched roll that just happened, by the by.
Was it?
Yeah.
Was it hella bad?
Oh, yeah. 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 No, her act under pressure is also bad because it's Bethany.
Yeah.
So that is a 4.
Bethany.
Look, she rolled a 5 and her act under pressure is -1. She does not act under pressure well.
No. Yeah.
That's part of seclusion for most of her life, is act under pressure doesn't happen.
I'm here too. Clara doesn't realize he's her trigger, but I will do things the moment she realizes it.
Okay. Bethany, David's murder, like the thing that is growing inside him, the other that you attempted to cultivate tonight, on purpose for your own gain, begins to flower, unfurl, bloom, whatever the fucking word fungus used for that process.
I just said, but yeah.
It begins to happen, and in this moment, in this this instant, this picosecond of time, what you actually remember, the thing that you remember, is a very angry angel diving. And you remember claws digging into your sister's abdomen.
Yeah, that's a bad memory.
And you see a thing that is mad because you have denied it. You have denied it what it wants, and it is going to take some form of retribution for this denial. And that's what Bethany's unhealthy, unwell, cartoonishly schizophrenic, not medically schizophrenic, kind of cartoonishly schizophrenic mind remembers. And in this moment, David swells and black raven's wings explode from his back, and a mandala of bullets and trench knives and barbed wire erupt from around his head, and his hands peel back, and it is the girders of bombed out buildings curled into claws, and he doesn't even really get a chance to stand. But the thing that Bethany does wrong, the mistake that she makes, is that she translates all of this as immediate threat to her family.
Yes, that is wrong. Because also, legitimately, since the Phoenix Society has shown up, Bethany has seen the backs of those claws of that angel coming out of Clara's, like the back of her ribs, all night long. Because that was a bad.
So roll your telekinesis roll.
Oh, it's still a bad roll. It's still a bad roll. That's a. Oh, but it's a 10. It's a fucking 10. I rolled a 6 and I get to roll soul for telekinesis, and so it's a 10.
You lucky sod.
What happens if you get a 9 on telekinesis?
That part I don't care or doesn't matter. It's the bad things happen.
Yeah.
Directly out of the book, telekinesis essentially gives you a weapon that you can use for do violence.
Yes.
So
Ben is very sweet and lets me roll plus soul instead of plus violence, because Bethany is not violence but is full up soul.
Yeah. So it's essentially she's rolling engage in combat, except she's using plus soul instead of plus violence. So you inflict damage, but at a cost.
Yeah. And we've decided human's a medium object, and it's a -1 to stability.
Yeah.
So I will mark that off right now.
Yeah.
I like the facial journey I'm getting from Clara. Aren't you happy I sent you down here so that this wasn't happening without one of us, though?
Yes. Yes, I'm very happy you sent me down here.
Is Bethany reacting stronger because Claire's here rather than she's by herself? Yes.
It's fine.
It's fine.
I can catch sibling and not remember Angel stabbing me. It's fine.
It's okay. You don't have to remember. Bethany's the one who remembers those claws coming out the other side of your rib cage, because
I have an idea to fix all of this. So we're going to get through what David's reaction is, and then Clara, as an addict, always has a backup fix. She has.
Oh my God.
Beautiful.
Okay. So Bethany, what you wanted to do, what in a better time, in a better place, you wanted to do was you kind of wanted to do the trick where you put your finger on someone's forehead and they can't stand up.
Yeah.
Like that was kind of the plan. What you actually ended up doing was the jackass prank where they hit him with the giant hand the size of a person with a 5-pound bag of flour on the front. So you're like stay seated until this rage abates hope turned into the fist of fucking Gork and just absolutely plows him off the bench he was sitting on directly into the wall.
Oh, David, I'm so sorry.
Like crumbling into like a couple of chairs or something.
Oh, I'm so sorry, David. We're going to do some real good medical care. I'm so sorry about that.
Doesn't need it. He needs his fix, and Clara's got this.
Okay, well, it's fine. He might be passed out now because I threw him in a wall.
No, not.
Okay.
Fine, fix him. Just fix him.
Okay. So David like he kind of like claws his way up, and he's about halfway up, and David's not here anymore.
Yeah, that's fine.
There is David. David is a meat puppet that is being run by the mud at the bottom of a trench. However, it's going to take him an amount of time to clamber up from this Charlie Foxtrot. And so in that time, Clara, how are you going to redirect?
I'm going to start with influence other and try to be his commander. So I'm going to hopefully be charismatic enough to get him under control that we can get him out of here.
Okay, I'm going to say that this is probably at a -2.
Okay, that's fine.
Because this is
charisma 3, so I'm at a +1. Oh God, yeah, we're fine. 17.
What up? Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so he goes down. Clara realizes what is happening and marches over to him and goes, "No, stop. You have work to do. And if you want to finish this, I know where I'm taking you, but it is not here. You are better than these people. Get it together. Soldier."
There is, I know that you have. There is a moment of body revulsion when you say soldier that the players at this table would probably recognize as something akin to dysmorphia. It is a fundamental soul deep revulsion at a term, at an identification. It is yes, like you are supposed to, like, it is supposed to feel gross and uncomfortable. David is unwell and you didn't know that was going to happen.
Nope.
It is everyone okay?
Yeah, I was gonna ask, can I roll read a person? Because like Erica would get how bad that is. I don't know that Clara would but I would like Clara to get that.
There is not enough people for David to hide anything.
Okay.
Like he is one layer, and that layer is all the way out in front. Like there is really, like, maybe you don't know why, but definitely there was a revulsion response to that.
If Clara gets it, there's a redirect that she will immediately do because she actually does care about him.
Okay, go for it.
Knows he's an addict in a fit. So she goes, soldier, sees that, then actually hits her knees so she's on the same level as him and tries to reach for his hands and goes, David, my angel, our angel. There are threats you need to contain that are not here, and I will take you to one. Please, be the David we know you are, and wait until I get you there. I will take you there tonight, our angel.
Okay. You rolled good enough for that to work.
She meant it too, so it's not a lie.
Yeah, no, it that was a really fucking good redirect. Like moment, pause. GM is proud of the player.
Yeah,
for the number of like the thematic weaving that just happened, and like that was good. Like
that is closer to what Clara meant. She just thought soldier was going to be the right response, and then the moment she realized she's wrong, she's like, oh no, honesty is maybe better, and then it was.
Yeah, no. That got an advancement for the Van Horsts. Like that, like, I mean, we like, yeah, right?
Yeah.
Kate's face is doing what my heart is feeling. Like,
on knees, holding his hands, addict to addict. I will take you to what you need because I treasure you, our angel. You just have to hold it together until I get you what you need.
That works. So because I want to know where the fuck you're taking him. We're gonna do the rest of this a little bit efficiently.
Okay.
So that works. Matthew is extracted towards the car,
Yep.
or at least out.
He has done his glad handing. He has done his like getting names and numbers and continuing to be like, by the way, I'm in charge. That we can hand wave that. I'm curious about this.
Well, there are really no surprises in getting paid and meeting a bunch of people. I mean, Matthew's kind of like, oh look, I impressed a room full of people. Hi, I know how to do this. Like you can run this on the bottom half of Matthew's brain. Like you don't even actually have to have a conscious thought for that. So Matthew's out there, and I need to ask Bethany one more question because Bethany is tonight's shit magnet.
Yes.
So there were 2 other people in the room. When you just alpha plussed David through the wall. They didn't see the fact that nothing actually made David go arse over tea kettle. But David did inarguably go arse over tea kettle, and then Clara did some dark private conversation, and they let out. So what are you going to do in this moment? Are you going to try to cover that up, or are you just going to be like, yep, like, thanks for playing, like, that's the Van Horsts, da, 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 da. Like,
okay, so the people that I guess that were there that Bethany is possibly concerned about is cauliflower ear fighter boy, who she gives 0 shits about, and was like, your brain is damaged, you don't know what happened. And the doctor. And so she will give a look at the doctor to see if he is, one, attending to his other people, or if he vaguely cares at all about Clara ushering David out of the room.
Bethany.
Yeah.
You can almost see the fear floating around the doctor. There is, imagine the tiny little fish that live, the little, maybe they're silverfish, those tiny little fish that live in a freshwater stream, like the one that was near your house when you grew up. The little, where you don't even see their whole shape, where all you really see are the little flicker flashes of the silver of their sides. You can see his fear flickering around his head. And it's there. He's so full of it. He doesn't understand what happened. He's confused. He's scared. And it would be so easy, Bethany, just so easy to just snatch it out of the air. Just it's just, what's memory? What is memory but just simply a piece of your soul given a shape? And really, it just, how easy would it be just to reach out and just take that away from him? It would solve so many problems if you just ate a little piece of his soul, just a little bit.
Okay, I'm gonna roll keep it together.
Great.
Because if she does, I have a response. And if she doesn't, oh God, do I do that? Yes.
You think I didn't remember that downtime conversation? I remember.
Oh, I remember. It's supposed to come up.
Oh boy.
No. She rolled a 14, and her willpower is really fucking there because
it's coolness.
To keep it together? Is it?
Well, oh, keep it together. Right, willpower. Never mind.
Because her willpower is very high because she knows she cannot. So she tries too hard. So her willpower is, I believe, still +2. Let me check. Which puts her at a 16.
Minus stability?
Yes, is a -1. So that's a 15.
Okay.
So 15 to keep it together. Which means that
which means you get to pick.
I do. Which means I get to stay the course. Which means that she looks at him and says, oh God, I had a really good line and I lost it in the rolls. Hang on a second. It was like, with any luck, we won't be back. Pray for it. And she lets Clara walk David out of the room and follows behind them.
Okay.
Keeping it together is not eating his soul.
No, he got to keep his soul, but you certainly took the rest of his sleep with him. Because he is going to lay in bed fully dressed and stare at the fucking ceiling for the rest of the day.
Yeah, he was fucking terrified, and that's fine. And pray we're not back is about her response about that feeling.
Yeah.
Because he should.
And Clara
That's
has
fine.
a feeling that Bethany is a little shaky right now, so she's not like walking out. She wants Bethany to be on one side and David to be on the other. And that is the way she wants to walk out of the room. Proud and gently ushering these two people who are both very dangerous in their own rights, but Clara has it fully under control. She's not leaving either of them behind. Or letting either of them walk behind as not equals.
Okay. So we're going to have a kind of essentially a goodbye conversation with Matthew to kind of, I feel like we're ready to close out the scene, to close out fight night, fright night. So Matthew, Clemenza actually brings over your winnings himself.
Oh, how nice of him.
One, because it was a little bit more than he was happy giving away. Because the size of the bet versus the odds meant that you did okay. It's not enough to actually change the Van Horst like fiscal structure, but you know, you're not going to have to do any bank business to keep going to the high roller room for a day or two. So he comes over and he's trying, he doesn't want to challenge you because he's aware that some shit went down. So he's kind of doing this, like, I don't want to challenge you, but I kind of want to remind you that I also have a level of authority here. Like, this is kind of that like upper to upper middle management stuff where there's a lot of people that are kind of at the same height on the org chart. And like they're kind of trying to feel around where the differences between the corporate structure are and where the real authority is.
Yeah.
So he comes over and he brings your money, and it's in the classic like roll of bills, and he hands it to you. He says, "Congratulations on your winnings."
Matthew thanks him. You know, he's genial, he's friendly, he's certainly not acting like someone who either was, you know, in a situation where like Clemenza was trying to kill him only a few days before, or you know, someone who just had to call off someone trying to murder someone. Like he's basically casual, like they're on the golf course. And he will, you know, say as he's, you know, doing that, you know, I really look forward again to being able to talk with you and have a, you know, maybe a business lunch or something like that in the future. And he will reach out and very gently put his hand, like in a manly fashion, on the shoulder that Alistar was gripping.
He flinches, and he flinches. I mean, like it. Once again, it's awful. These characters are awful. People are awful. And I'm describing these in awful ways to get the response. He flinches like a beaten wife. He does the abuse survivor flinch.
Yeah. And he doesn't grip it. He doesn't hurt it. It's gentle. It's barely there. And it's another thing of like that sort of reminder of like, you could have a boss like me.
You never had a friend like me.
And he doesn't behave like the flinch is obvious. Like everyone knows that like when I say everyone, I mean Clemenza knows he saw the flinch.
Yeah.
He behaves like it wasn't there, and he gives him that piece of dignity to have that.
Yes. And as Matthew is preparing to be like, I am dignity personified. Look at me. I am
tried.
benefiting you.
I tried.
Yes. With the noblesse.
Yeah.
Oh, the what?
Noblesse oblige. Yeah.
Thank you. Of this, he says, like, as you grab his shoulder and as you lean in, and from Matthew's perspective, he's like, look, we're being friends. I'm treating you with respect. We're resetting our relationship.
Oh yeah.
What the Jersey mobster sees was it was you, Fredo. I knew it was you, and it breaks my heart.
They're coming from such different perspectives. I love it.
Yeah. And so he says it, and he says it in a voice that sounds almost like he's about to cry. Like his eyes are dry. He's like, but you can hear the weight, the wobble down here. And he says, it was the Westsmiths. Please don't send that guy after me.
He smiles at him, like, genially and friendly, and says, I don't hurt people who could be useful to me.
And
I
now
think we'll
you
do
just
good business.
And now you
And
just got to walk
forward.
away. Like, just
That's it. That's we're done.
walk away from the explosion. Holy
Like-
shit.
It's fine. We're good.
My heart rate's up. So, who's driving?
Me.
Okay. I feel like
David's an
maybe
addict and clearly recovering from the fight, so he shouldn't drive. Matthew doesn't drive; he's in charge, and Bethany is Bethany, so Clara's driving. It's fine. Capable woman can do this right now. She knows where they're going.
Yes.
Yeah. Does anyone tell Matthew what we're doing?
I
When
don't
we get in the
even fucking
car.
know.
I'm like, I get in the
don't
car
know.
and I'm like, okay, we're doing something.
Clara will once we're in and we're starting to get away. Clara clearly knows where they're going.
Yeah. He's like, I trust Claire to know where we're going. But like once he like realizes that we're like not going to the hotel, he's just kind of like, what?
So, do we all get into the car fine, and I can like start this conversation?
yeah, like where is David sitting? Like is Matthew in the front or Bethany and David in the back? Like what's the arrangement here?
That's a good question.
My assumption, but I don't.
My assumption was that too.
Yeah.
Okay.
was that if Claire's driving, then Matthew's in the front passenger seat, and then Bethany and David are in the back.
Yeah. David, while you guys talk, David is like pulling on an undershirt and kind of doing the in the car tuck and buttoning a shirt.
Yeah.
So go.
Yes. So as we start driving, it was unfair of us to start David on this path and then not let him finish the things that he needs to do. There is somebody that absolutely would attack our family and kill us, or at least Bethany, the moment that he could. And I'm going to let David do what he needs to do and finish this loose end. We're driving to St. Dymphia's. We're driving to the hospital, and Clara really hopes that orderly takes a cigarette break
Ah.
because she's going to feed the orderly that was stalking and staring at Bethany and doing all those awful things that David wanted to kill anyway to David the moment we find that orderly.
Yes, please.
Okay.
One,
Please.
I love it. Two, we're gonna have to do that next game.
Yeah. That's a whole thing.
There's layers. Like that's
Okay,
that's
fine.
that's
Like,
a disaster laminate.
Oh.
Claire doesn't want to have to go into the hospital. If we go there and the guy doesn't come out on a cigarette break where it's really easy to steal him off into the desert, which had been her plan, then it's going to be hey, I know what it is to need a thing and need a thing so much you're crawling out of your skin. Can you wait until we can find this person? This is the person you are supposed to kill. You know how he's threatened Bethany, but he is not here easily. Can you wait? Because Clara wants to do this quiet and quick, and somebody disappeared in the desert. She doesn't want to intrude on their territory. She doesn't want to break into this hospital. She just wants to make this guy disappear in the desert and let David have his dessert.
But Matthew has some promises
I do.
that he might need to consider whether or not he wants to keep.
I'm
So there's
not against us.
I just want to feed David.
I know. My suggestion is that this is something that if it's something that needs to be delayed by like maybe it's some more planning to be put into this, but all with the goal of eventually feeding David, then that also we can wrap that into me being able to keep some certain promises.
Yeah, and that's what we're going and that's what I'd like to
that's what I
discuss and negotiate. Yeah. Because this is a genius idea and I'm 100% in love with it.
Like I like the idea a lot.
But then it's do we allow this to do we negotiate that this should, we hope, happen in a little like dip in dip out, or do we want to take this moment and actually return to this crazy fucking like ER of Delphi and do some shit? Because I mean, if you've got his spring wound, you know, there's really not like what do you now that you've seen David fight the concerns about your safety in the hospital might be different.
This is actually one of those moments where Eric as a player has a different feeling. Like Clara as an addict who just wants to get David his fix as quickly and quietly as possible, because David will be a far better murder machine if he has his fix and can think about things.
Yeah.
Clara does not want to take him into St. Dimphas. Is that how it's pronounced?
Dimphna?
Yeah, there's a sneaky.
He does not want to take him into St. Dimphna until he has his fix, because he will be sloppy, because needing is different than doing this in a controlled fashion. Erica acknowledges that could be really good dramatic potential to like just take our rabid dog in there, but Clara would rather let him murder a homeless person.
No, so the thing
and then go inside. Then like, if there is not easy pickings on the outside of there, she needs to get David his fix. Like that is her goal. But I'm happy to steer away from that goal as we talk about like steering in healthy gaming.
So what I was thinking about from that was if we can get the orderly and get him McMurdered, but going back there being a thing that sparks Matthew to his promise, and therefore that like leads us back into that space, but not as the immediate.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Like, that's where I am in that, because again, Bethany is really, really here for that orderly to die.
Yeah, I want to go back into that space.
Want to be there,
won't.
but Kate wants Bethany to go to the terrible space real bad. But like, Bethany is like, oh, we're going there. I don't like being here. Oh, we're going to go kill that man. I like killing that man. Let's go do that here. And then like let that drag her off into that space is a thing that I think is really interesting.
What I would suggest is that we call game around here, and then we workshop how we can basically have things integrate such that it makes sense for the dragging off quick aspect, but also integrate in how that could lead into something that is a longer term aspect with plot that I think could basically stay true to the character of what Clara wants to do while still leading us for vectors into that ongoing plot aspect. I think I don't think we have to sacrifice either Clara's
immediate
goals and how she would go about them and the themes that go with that. I don't think we have to sacrifice that to be able to also do the plot stuff, because I think we can do them both, because like we just would need to workshop it like a little bit out of character with each other.
Yeah. Yes. And that's what I wanted us to do, but the negotiation started so wonderfully and organically immediately that I didn't want to stop it.
Yeah.
It was just like, boy, when your players start telling you exactly what they want to do and working out what's important between themselves, you just hit the little fucking button on the leash and you just let them run around.
And they're beautiful. I have such good ideas. I'm proud of this idea. Sorry.
I love it. No, I love this so much. It's so good. And that's why it's really important to me that like I don't want to change. I don't think that it's not the way that Clara wants to do it. I don't think that that's like bad. I like it.
I don't think that's wrong.
Can I ask a thing? Because we have like a half an hour towards when we wrap up.
Yeah.
don't think that is wrong, and you all are okay with like David getting his fix, if people would be okay with us starting getting there and grabbing the orderly, like I have a really good cliffhanger ending idea if we have David finish the orderly. So I'm like, we could go back into game for five or so minutes, do that, and then cliffhanger it. But
I'm here for that.
I'm here for that.
if we all agree that like we can like kill him pretty quick and then the big plot will open up after that.
Yeah. Yeah, I trust you.
Cool, thank you. Sorry.
No, that wasn't sass. That was just like, oh, it's like, okay, let's see what you like. I can hit a curveball.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's do it.
Right, so we drive to St. Dimna.
Okay, well, yes. The first problem is that it wasn't where you thought it was.
No.
You are entirely certain it was here because you remember that you could see, like when you were in the parking lot specifically, because the memory is burned into at least Bethany's mind, the moment where you saw the orderly and he was kind of a monster, and you got that kind of like murder rapey vibe, and there was the moment of extreme, and David was just like, now? Is it now? Like, go now? No? You remember very clearly seeing a distinct piece of casino signage. Like, it's that, like, if you stood right there when you were watching the scene, when you were dealing with this scene, burned into your mind as like a piece of the strip.
Mm-hmm.
And so you go, well, I know it was around here because that's the piece of, like, this is the sign that I could see. So there is a little bit where there's a challenge to finding it because it's apparent, it's a little obfuscated. However, normally in a situation like this is where I would try to see through the illusion. Roll to try to see through the illusion. However, all of you are kind of already like feeling some kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like the characters are charged or prepared. So I feel like getting to a place that you know is there is achievable.
Mm-hmm.
And plus there's nothing fun happens when you can't. Like, it's just like drive around until your like little button on your hot bar cools down and you can try again. That's not fun.
Yeah, I feel like I have enhanced awareness and there's sixth sense and magical intuition. Like, we would all roll those things, and if you want us to, we will.
We will. You want
Otherwise,
to all prepared to roll them instead.
No. Because nothing fun happens at the fail state. It's not like you have to get there in time to save somebody on a timer where a try-fail cycle creates tension. Yeah. So with ritual near murder on your mind and angels and explosive evacuation of hemophiliacs and everything else floating around, and Matthew kind of riding high because he got to do the Loki in the first Avengers movie scene.
Villain coded.
And yeah, you get there. So you get there, and yes, as a matter of fact, for the sake of narrative convenience, there is a thick-necked, unpleasantly bulky, like, this is one of those, like I've described him before, he's one of these guys that's like packed with muscle, but none of it's really in the right place. There's kind of he's slabs of muscle and muscles that were developed asynchronously under strange conditions, and he's just kind of, he's got a Lee Field comic feeling where the muscles are swollen to the point of almost grotesquerie, but he also kind of has that kind of world's strongest man sort of high fat, like dense fat build. So he's unpleasant to look upon, and you know that he is unpleasant to hear the thoughts of. And he is standing outside and he is smoking a cigarette, and apparently he's still true to character, so to speak, because you can see kind of on his whites is some discolored splattering, or it looks like it's been a rough night shift at the mycological oracle / hospital coffee bar automat. So he's there. Clara, this is your baby. So far it's working.
Yeah, no, he's there. So Claire kind of does a slow drive by in a recognizable car, I think. Yeah, we should be in the last car that he saw of ours. Pulls into a parking, sees if the guy's head turns or not as we drive past.
It does.
Okay.
But it's a piggish, dumb animal head turn.
Mm-hmm.
This is we're gonna talk down because we know he's a monster and he's a terrible person. So we're gonna talk down about this sentient creature. It is the idiot gaze of a creature responding to stimulus.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a like, ooh, I wonder what's in the car. I'm gonna look at them and he's just movement, light, noise, sort of thing.
Yep. The way Matthew started training poor David, Claire's continuing in her own way, which is, that man wants to hurt Bethany, but I don't want you to kill him until he expresses it again. We are doing this to protect her, but also to give you what you need. We all can get what we need, right?
Okay. He like, he kind of gives you, he's like, he says things like, I'm listening.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's willing to hear you out, but he's an addict, and he's like, this sounds like murder with extra steps.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's like, we know what we know what he wants to do to Miss Bethany. Like we don't like
Bethany.
We've got motive.
Yeah, Bethany, can you step out of the car? Just stay near us. Let him see you.
You need me to. Okay. I'll get out of the car.
I'm gonna just get out of the car as well because I want to just make sure that Bethany is okay.
I feel like really weirdly we've gone out on opposite sides. Like Bethany's behind the driver's seat.
Yeah.
Matthew's in the front passenger. So Bethany's gotten out and the car is blocking her from Matthew.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
If Matthew's, so the way that we pulled up is the passenger.
It's whatever way you want
a little closer to him. So it's David.
Yeah.
In the back passenger, Matthew in the front passenger. Bethany's out there, so her head will come up.
Mm-hmm.
And Clara's waiting for the moment the orderly's head turns and sees Bethany.
And it's there.
Mm-hmm.
And the moment that happens, she goes, "Get what you need." And like unlocks the car door if it was locked. Like just says, "Go."
The moment between David leaving the car and David being in the personal space of the orderly seem to be missing. It is like the world blacked out for about 10 seconds because you cannot actively remember the brief moment in time between Clara saying, "Get what you need," and David knocking this thing to the ground. It will always sit in your memory as a gap. there is no chance for real noise to come out of the orderly. A whoosh as its not lungs are emptied via concussive force. The sound of bones breaking sounds more like concrete splintering in a pier, like wet concrete at the edge of the water cracking under catastrophic pressure. And the foreplay is over. There is no teasing. There is no waiting. There is no delayed gratification. This is a brutal murder. And David bashes the orderly's head against the ground, and you can hear the gawk, gawk, gawk of the percussive force echoing in the mouth and the sinus of this thing. It's hitting so hard you can hear the echoes inside where air is inside its body. And David is growling, but it is not an animal growl. This is not bestial. The sound he's making is a low Rolls-Royce purr. Why Rolls-Royce? Because that's who put the fucking engines in the tanks. This is a basso motor purr, and it is not affected by breathing. This is not an up-down. This is just... And so bang, 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 crunch, squish, squelch. The sound just gets wetter and wetter. And his hand, and he pulls and he grabs and things. And you can see in this moment where David, at this transcendent moment of senseless, pointless, unnecessary, vindictive, shitty violence that you all gave to him as a gift for being such a good boy.
What?
Yeah.
In this moment, he tears the illusion.
It's our baby boy.
And the monster, the creature that the orderly was, is revealed as pieces of green skin and tumorous scales and a jaw that is clearly only human shaped when it chooses to be. There's something jointed and with tendons and exoskeletal pieces, and it's, and the things that he pulls out of its body are barbed and spined, and there's wood in them, and there's a beautiful yellow, red, green, purple, fungusy sort of color palette to it. This is not the purples and reds and biles of a human body. This is something else, and it is exploded slowly, because an explosion is just an impatient fire. And he kinetically explodes this creature. And it only takes a few minutes. But okay, I see Erica's hands up.
I have yes.
Yeah, no, you and me. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for Clara, as the explosion, a few minutes is a time. Is enough time to have a cigarette. Clara gets out of the driver's side of the car and just gently lounges against the hood, watching David doing this, lighting a cigarette, gently reveling in one addict, watching the joy of another addict. And
Gross.
yes, smoking, and it is joyful. It is a shared experience, and as it starts slowing down, Clara starts closing the distance, walking across the pavement towards the mess.
Yeah.
And her high heels are clicking on the pavement very quietly, and she uses the click of her high heels against the pavement of the parking lot to remind her of the illusion, because she
Ooh.
to get back into reality and stop enjoying the tearing that David did. And as she finally gets over and smokes the last of her cigarette and does that gentle like squat on high heels where the heels come off the pavement next to the dead body as she has anchored herself in the illusion again, she starts reaching into what is left of the illusionary body and grabs his ring of keys.
Well, luckily enough, you don't actually have to undergo the psychological torment of reaching into and out of the illusion. You can stay here in this gaping reality wound.
Right.
Because those keys actually exist.
In both?
In both.
Good job.
Except the bad news is the real keys, the keys that were hidden by the ring of keys under the illusion, are actually they're keys, or they're key shaped. They look like keys. They have the intent of keys. They intend to be keys. Let's agree that they intend to be keys.
Yeah.
But they are there are these weird, almost like lightning bolt shapes. No, not lightning bolts. They're Van Holtzman. The marks that lightning leaves.
Oh, those, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Lichtenbergs. Yeah, they look like Lichtenbergs.
Yeah.
They look like the crackling vines of lightning, or the human nervous system. And they're gleaming. It's like the viscera just falls off them.
She still scoops them up gently while crouched there elegantly as possible and looks up and goes, "Don't we have unfinished business in this place?"
That's it. That's it.
I know Bethany
Roll
had
credits.
No,
wait, no.
That's good. That's good. No, Bethany just.
I'm sorry.
David, it's fine. Like, that's that. But Bethany was definitely just in a, like, not an apology to before, but just this is the right place. Thank you, David. Like, that was all of her full feelings about all of this, is that's a good TM. But if
that's fine. If Bethany, say the thing that you want to say and then I will finish it.
Okay, it's just that, like, because that's that whole other thing as because I feel like Claire's grabbing the keys and the viscera, and Bethany's come around the car because the car was between her and all of this to go find David after all of this, and she just goes to find him and be like, "This is what I meant. Here is the place. Thank you, David."
Claire jingles the keys as she says that. Jingles the keys like a Pavlov's whistle and goes, "Business."
Oh, all right. Well, Matthew, would you like to have a final word on this? Because clearly Clara's doing something to your murder puppy here.
Matthew will toss David a cloth to clean his hands off, and we'll say, "Let's get going."
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah.
So, unbeknownst to me, we should be uncovering more of the secrets of Saint Dymphna, or we'll be talking about it and what we want to do, and if that's what we want to do, or anything else, we are still, we can negotiate.
Yeah, like whether or not this is something that's happening around, like Matthew's sort of things, he's like, Bethany is giving him reassurance. Like, Clara is making sure that he remembers that he has, jobs. And my, like, sort of thing is like, remember that you have a person suit to climb back in, and that you can take it out later on.
Yeah.
The trifecta of terrible.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Curtis, we disappeared.
We all disappeared because we were so terrible that we had like the world could not see our faces.
We're so terrible. We just
I don't know if they can hear us or not, but
don't know.
okay.
I'm actually kind of delighted by that.
We're so terrible and all went blank. Yeah.
I don't
It
know.
happens.
Eliminate sorry, not sorry for just like horking the steering wheel and going, I got ideas. Give it to
No, I love it.
Oh, good. It was
They were great.
so good.
me. It has been probably almost a year because pandemic and everything since like I got into a character and a scene mode enough where I'm like, oh, I know where this should go. I know like the narrative is here and the character
Yeah.
is here and I know what's happening next. Sorry, GMs, that you might not, but like, please let me like grab the steering wheel. So it's been a real long time since I got ideas like that.
Look,
Good.
So,
Yo.
I'm gonna say right now,
take the steering wheel.
we all need our fixes. Like when it comes to
Yeah.
that sort of thing, we
Heather, take the
all.
wheel.
But
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the
I'm here for
the
it.
keys off of the dead orderly's belt and saying we have unfinished business here was in my head when like we pulled him back from the fight.
Ugh, I'm so happy you got to do that. It was
Yeah, I
fucking
am
awesome.
too. So I was like, please let me go to this thing. I've had this idea since
No.
like we took the fix away from the addict. And I'm like, no, baby, I know where your fix is. It's gonna be really narratively satisfactory.
Well, I'm so glad you got there.
No, I'm really happy about this. I love all of this, and
Okay,
I'm
good.
excited for the
Oh,
game.
you're
I am too. And like,
Mm.
so I'm going to tell a quick story
Mhm.
because it directly references why the last 45 minutes of this stream worked so fucking well. I take ADHD medication in case you couldn't pick that up. And, you know, because of that, you're always trying different doses and working things through because brains change and it's a challenge. And, you know, if you can't make your own neurotransmitters, fucking store-bought is fine. So we were having a really big scene. It was like the part one of the great big end of story, like Phoenix Society clusterfuck. And all of a sudden, the conversation that I was having split from the conversation the players were having. And it looked minor. And then all of a sudden, like 5 or 10 minutes into this conversation, we essentially were not communicating. It was my brain did not want to play pretend that day. And I said, guys, I have to stop. I don't know what's up, but I cannot do this. I cannot do this today. Something isn't working. I've got to stop because I can't treat this with the respect that it deserves. And everyone was like, oh my God, are you okay? Do you want to talk about it? We're totally fine. Like, and what happened is that we actually ended up having this great big negotiation where the part of that scene that kerfuffled, like the beginning of the reality divergence, we actually rewrote the entire thing into a like Bethany having a weird precog moment.
It was so fucking beautiful.
Real
It was
good.
good. I liked it a lot.
So
And-
good. Like legit. It was faves.
But the reason that worked is because, I mean, buzzwords, is because I expressed a vulnerability. I said this isn't working. And what the players heard is that and I think Kate said it. She said, I feel happier now that I've heard you say no. Because hearing someone say, I'm willing to set boundaries, like I'm going to say no when it's not okay, and then have someone actually go, no, actually, I mean it. No, stop, X, done, cannot handle this right now, you know, is a very, very different thing. And so, you know, in that moment when Clara said, can I run the fucking ship for 20 minutes? And I said, yeah, sure. The reason that, in addition to the fact that like we communicate and we're friends and we generate trust, part of the important part of building that trust is that they heard me say no to something earlier. They heard me say, I'm not happy with how this is going and we need to negotiate a trajectory change. So when Erica said, can I? And I said, yes, she knew that if I wanted to say no,
You would.
I would have.
Yep.
That's
Which is why use your check-in mechanics, game runners.
yes. And I was saying real quick then, which is that I, as a player, always consider my game runner as part of the party at the table.
Yes.
And they should get to say their no's. They should get to have their check-ins. They're absolutely a collaborative part of telling the story, and they're a vital part of telling the story. And every player should respect that and treasure their game runner. And every game runner should feel like they are part of the narrative, not an opposing part of the narrative either. Like, in any adventuring party that I'm playing in, my GM is part of that party, and I really hope that everybody feels that way.
Yeah.
I could take up Curtis's whole fucking afternoon one day on one of those behind the scenes shows talking about my opinion on adversarial role playing and where it comes from and why we need to fucking
Hit it.
So many.
ditch it.
No.
But I appreciate y'all. I love the amount of trust that we have in each other. So thank you for letting me take that trust tonight for a little bit.
I mean, it paid off in spades, as it always does, which is one of the things that I love. Like, we have an understanding and trust with each other, and part of that is because we know each other, and we've played this for a while and have kind of experienced that. But also part of it, I think, is that all of us are coming from the same sort of culture of gaming, of that kind of idea of like respect for everyone involved, including the game runner, and the idea that conflict in stories is interesting and is the driving force in most of a lot of times games. And there's a difference between, I think the way that you put it, Ben, was adversarial versus conflict oriented. Like, the game runner is there to help provide conflict. Just we are providing conflict within each other, between each other, as well as towards the NPCs and things like that. But at no point are we out of character adversaries. Like, we're all collaborate. Like, because I've heard a lot of people say things of like, well, it's not, not everything should be just kumbaya, everyone holds hands. You don't have to be collaborative about everything, but you can have collaborative conflict.
Yeah.
And that can be some of the most fun, most intense conflict that you're going to have, because you can trust that everybody out of character is like on board.
Yep.
Yeah. I have to say, season 1 that nobody got to see, there was some really beautiful sibling versus Bethany collaborative conflict that was, I as a player was very, very there for. And like, I was like, no, please do the thing. But she's going to protest. Like, the heels drug in all the way there. Please take her to the terrible place. That's where she wants to go. And I also want to, again, give like big ups to Ben, because like, I know that Alon and Eric and I have played in adversarial games together a lot. And before we started this game privately, Ben knew Erica and me and Alon. And so the amount of trust that he put in us to play this game with him is mind-blowing. And I am so grateful for it every other week. Like, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
So
Well,
unknown quantities.
like unknown quantities, so much thank you. Honestly.
Garsh. I don't have anything to say to that because I'm super embarrassed. So I'm gonna read the outro thing now. Point the fucking first. Use your check-in mechanics. Like if that wasn't convincing, I don't know what the hell to tell you. Use your check-ins. They're in the book. Read them. Use them. They're there for a reason. If you want the book, go to KULTDivinityLost.com. It's published by Helmgast, and as always, we thank you, Helmgast, for giving us the opportunity to do this. Now, good news, bad news. Next scheduled game is February 14th. That's the bad news. The good news is that every single person on this screen has something just super gross and adorable planned. So we're gonna do those gross and adorable things, and you're going to find out what the hell is going to go on in this hospital on the 21st. And that's a little ways away, and we'll be trying to do, I'm going to be trying to do things to help you get through those dark and terrible times. February is a dark enough month as it is.
I'll do 2 games in a row.
Yeah, but we're going to do 2 games in a row. So you'll be able to get your fix and stay there for a little while, right? Because that's important. We just discovered that, right? And there's also a bunch of other stuff on this channel. Monday at noon CST is Offstage live with old Curtis. And so there, it's if you remember Talking Dead from The Walking Dead for a long time, it's Talking KULT. And so they're going to discuss Heartland, Wrath, and Tears. Duke is going to show up. They're going to talk about something called Curtis's Long Strange Trip. I think that'll be interesting.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, right?
Offstage is Monday and Wednesday at 12 noon CST and Tuesday and Thursday at 4 p.m. CST. And I mean, that covers a wide range of topics. It's never boring. So I recommend if you like hearing about this stuff, then check in. Critical Knowledge, 8 p.m. CST Tuesday night is the finale of Sinners and Saints, not season finale, all caps. Final confrontations are had as this series comes to a close. Adam's next story is going to be announced soon. Join the Discord. There is a link on the Twitch page for the Discord. You should join it. There's a bunch of cool people with some fantastic memes for all of that information. On Friday night, we're going to get Heartland back, and we're going to decide once and for all what's after Daisy. Daisy. And apparently now it's in the house. So,
Okay.
tension. Now, there are only 4 episodes left of that, and you don't want to miss any of them. And that is Friday at 7 p.m. CST. So, now also, everything is here on Twitch or everything it ends up on YouTube about 24 hours after the stream finishes. So if you need to binge some really fucking good content to get you through February, the YouTube and Twitch is going to have what you need to get you through. Trust me. Now, for a long time, old Curtis on Twitch has been doing this thing where they drop marbles through a big goofy virtual track, and it's a lot of fun, and it's just dumb fun, and it's good. And apparently, finally, it is receiving the respect that it's due, and it is getting its own show. So Saturday night, 8 p.m. CST, the dramatic marble races, the championship series will begin. So T-Dorf 67 and Shinobi 223, who I just saw leave, and they're neck and neck or marble and marble. So, and in about an hour, you're going to see a preview of this. So, it's fun. It's a good time. It's casual. It is a good way to meet other people that are on the Discord and that watch the Twitch stream. If you like the snarky conversation and the jokes and the chatter that you are blessed with while people do the shows, then you should hang out and meet those people. That is all of my outro stuff. I just want to say again that use your fucking safety mechanics. They're not there just to sell the books, and they're good. They're good because they work, and the safety mechanics create the structure of play that lets you do cool things, giving a player the trust and the capability to come with a fantastic story moment that you could not right? Whatever, that you couldn't make happen under your own power. Use them. They're good for you. Eat your fucking LARP vegetables. I have really, really strong opinions on safety mechanics, and I'm not afraid to use words to describe them. So wash your hands, be nice to each other. do the safety things that you need to do. Take care of your body, take care of your brain, take care of your heart. You are all important. You are an important person, and you should do things that take care of you. So drink your water, eat the things that are supposed to be green, don't eat the things that aren't supposed to be green. Look at the sun, demand it produce dopamine, the normal. Yell at the moon. The moon likes being yelled at. Trust me, we talked. But yes, so we're going to see you on the 21st. That's far away, but it's going to show up all of a sudden if things keep going the way that you do. Thank you. Thanks to my players. Thank you guys so much for being awesome and working with me. And thank you so much to Curtis and the rest of the team at TTRP Theater for doing this, for making us look fantastic, for doing visual design, sound design, for organizing all of this stuff. I couldn't get my fucking face on the internet unassisted. So, be kind to your backstage crew. In addition, be kind to the people that make things work, because you do not want to know what the world would be like without all of those people wearing all black and comfortable sneakers next to all the people in costumes. It wouldn't fucking work. So treat them with respect. All right. That's all I've got to say. I think I've said it all. So I waxed long. So everyone go get some sleep. We thank you. Have a good night.
Night.